Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are watching The Experiment. I'm your host, Joe Soro, and tonight we are going to talk about two leagues that are going in different directions. Now, one of the leagues today made an announcement about fixing one of the major issues they've had probably for a good 20 years, maybe even longer, probably since the inception of the lottery. Uh, I don't remember too much about what was going on in the 80s. I do remember that when it did first come about, you had the Knicks that just so happened to win the lottery the year Patrick Ewing was available as the first pick. And since that day, the lottery's been kind of suspect in terms of the eyes of the public. So I'm not going to get into that part. I don't really care about what happened in 1985. But the competition and how it's going to correlate with, let's say, the league that's actually going the opposite way of the NBA right now in terms of popularity and quality in the right direction is baseball and how the public, the masses, however you want to put it, can sometimes speak from two different areas and not even realize it. And you know what those areas are. And they're both orifices in the human body. So uh, I don't know. I just thought of this earlier today. I was going to have a show tomorrow night after the LFB, but I wanted something that was just focused on baseball and basketball, and then how it kind of works around the solar system that's football in America, especially. So I feel like we're getting different opinions, different comments about what's going on in sports. So for me, I usually like to stick to the basics. For me, if a league is struggling as much as we think that the NBA is struggling, how are they getting billions and billions and dollars not too long ago in terms of TV money, right? So technically, when it comes to that, I don't think we're correct on that. I think the quality of the game is for sure not doing what it needs to do. The question I have for most of you here, and we can talk about it here as well, is how is this league sustaining itself? Is it just strictly now gambling that's helping it? Are we a small area online that seems to not like the sport? I don't know, but I will say this: I don't really care about TV contracts. I don't really care about what owners are making. Honestly, I care about the quality of my team winning and the quality of the game, so that I don't get bored watching it. And right now, basketball in a lot of ways is unwatchable. Unwatchable for a few reasons. Number one, I think the game has turned into a fitness gym on the corner type game where everyone just shoots threes. The other part is you have participants that aren't participating on a regular basis, and it's not even the guys that are tanking. That would make more sense if that was the case. But what I don't understand is you have players that are making $50 million that are not playing back-to-back games. That's unacceptable in my view. Not maybe by rule standards, but I don't think that you could really put a rule in there for that either. It comes down to just pride in doing what you do, and there's a lot of numbers and details on past activity in the NBA versus the activity today. Possessions per game. I was reading a statistic that was pretty much actually more activity in the 80s in terms of possession per 48 minutes in the NBA in the 80s. There was more possessions in the 80s versus now. So why were they playing every game then? That's going to be the question that I have for most of you and most of the just in general the NBA. Why is it that possessions were higher in the 80s yet they weren't getting hurt as much and they're getting hurt now? Is it the fact that these guys are jumping higher and putting more force? Because that's what I hear. But then I'm going to also come back with, if that is the case, if the body has become such a a springboard, as such a impact, inertia, juggernaut type thing, right? Then wouldn't you think that with all the extra money you're making compared to what they were making in the 80s, wouldn't you think that you'd be prepared for that kind of activity? Or is it for the fact that your body isn't conditioned to last because you're not conditioning it? There was a lot of talk of that in football. Football's different though, because you're going to get tackled a certain way and you're going to tear an ACL, and that's been a problem since the beginning. That happens because of just physics, right? But in basketball, I did more research on this here recently. Guys actually practiced, and a lot of the great ones, guys like Kobe, guys like MJ, guys like Magic, you go in depth in what those guys were doing at the time. Guys like Pat Riley. By the way, Pat Riley is going to have his statue put up here soon. Props to Pat. Props to another statue of a great Laker. Where's my paw? Well, there we go. There we go. To the Godfather, Patrick Riley. I didn't think this was going to happen. It's pretty much going to solidify. I mean, I heard it was going to happen before the first time I heard it. We're going to have Pat Riley there. Obviously, he was coach of the Lakers from 1982 through 1990. We're going to have a Phil Jackson statue, obviously, soon as well. So that's a nice thing, I think, when you I'm going to wait for John Cudla to maybe have a statue too, although he was a Minneapolis Laker coach, so I don't know if that's going to count. But props to John Cudla. He helped the Lakers go to 6 finals and win 5 of them. So and he also won an NBL championship before they transferred over to the NBA. At that time, they were called the BAA. So, anyways, you hear about. Speaking of Pat Riley, we hear about the practices during those times, and many say that they were more rigorous at the time than they were than there obviously are now. No one really practices anymore now. So how do you make that make sense now? So you had teams in the 80s, let's say, that had more possessions per 48 minutes and practice like crazy. In a lot of ways, practice harder played harder in practice, yet they were not getting hurt. I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I'm going to try to play both sides here. I'm not going to go into the back in my day type stuff. Would you rather have a player have a 20-year career and be there 3/4 of the time? Or would you rather have a player play 13 to 14 years and be there every game? That's an interesting question, because in my view, I'd rather a player have full focus, full ability, full prime at its peak than to spread out that peak and not make it mediocre, but maybe mediocre results from it. A lot of these guys are doing this so they can make more money, which is understandable, but the product is not good, which is why you've had parity in basketball for the first time since the 70s. And the correlation in the 70s and right now is eerily similar, very similar. The only difference is there's not a lot of the issues with, let's say, cocaine. Cocaine was a big drug in the 70s and 80s, and that was kind of at the forefront of a lot of these guys and stuff. Of course, the NBA guys got more of the blame because they were, at that time, they were upset that there were too many black players in the NBA and all that bullshit. And coke went hand in hand. Dude, everyone was doing coke at that time. I don't know why they blamed NBA players, or they made it more apparent that these guys were all on dope. Dude, everyone was on dope in the 70s and 80s. So, but in terms of the actual parity, in terms of the results of parity, in terms of the not really having a face of the NBA, and that's weird to say. It's weird to say in a league where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in it, right? But you have to understand who Kareem was. Kareem was not. He was very similar, but in different ways to like a Jokic, right? He was kind of not engaging, very aloof, very to himself for different reasons than Jokic, but that same kind of dynamic. And he didn't have the 50-watt smile and wanted to accommodate. They were very kind of standoffish and kind of did their thing and then went home, right? Dr. J was still somewhat kind of NBA, ABA until the mid 70s. So you didn't get a chance to get the whole Dr. J experience in the NBA until he got to the NBA. And then it sort of kind of built itself up until obviously Magic and Bird came in, and then his involvement in fighting both Magic and Bird during his, let's say, really it was 5 years, probably 4 years of battling those guys and making his mark there in terms of his legacy. It's eerily the same in terms of where the league is now. At that time, they were talking about folding, which obviously the league's not going to fold. But the quality of basketball wasn't really exciting. The players weren't really that exciting again until Magic and Bird kind of started bringing that up, and it still took them a few years until 1984 when they finally were able to live feed the finals. Now, I think I heard that they had some live games before the 84 finals, but I think I first heard that the 84 finals were the first finals series where they didn't have tape delay. It was the first live series. And it made sense at that time, right? It was the first time the Lakers and the Celtics finally had met. Everybody was itching to see Magic and Bird play for 80, 81, 82, and 83. The first 4 years of their career, they kept missing each other. It was either Magic winning in 80, then the Celtics won in 81, then the Lakers won in 82, and then in 83, the Bird loses again to the Sixers. But this time they finally get the Lakers in the finals. And then after that, it was pretty much the Lakers and Celtics for 3 of the next 4 years. So I don't know if we need a Magic or a Bird to come in and kind of push this up. I think a lot of the problems with the NBA I've said this on the Lakers Fast Break a few times, is parity is a fallacy. And they as in the media and fans and just people who just kind of speak out of their feelings. Most people do, especially nowadays. It's even worse. I mean, it's always been a problem, but even worse now because you actually get credit for it by having people watch you and listen to you. Because I don't know why people do that, but it is what it is. Parity has never really, in my view, really made any sense, especially in basketball. And when you look at the two eras of basketball where there was parity, is it a coincidence that the league sucked? 70s was essentially a parity decade. If you look at that decade, that was the only decade where you didn't have a repeat champion in the entire history of the league. Now, you could say the 40s to some degree, but 1949-50. The NBA as in what it became didn't start till almost to the tip of the end of the 40s. So I'm not counting the 40s, but 50s, 60s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010s, and then right now we're in the 2020s, and it's looking like we're 6 seasons in it. We don't know if there's going to be a repeat champion in this decade. So isn't it a coincidence that the 2 decades where there wasn't a repeat champion at the moment here now, where the league started to kind of filter in a certain way, in a negative way? The NBA made its bones with superstars and dynasties, and how this correlates with baseball. I'm trying to warn everyone, and it's not a coincidence either that you have a dynasty in the making right now. It's a dynasty that's, in my view, just starting. You can say that 3 and 6 years is a dynasty. I think that warrants, especially in baseball, that warrants a legitimate argument for dynasty. But I feel that last year's championship was the start. Now, if the Dodgers three-peat, then they are a dynasty, because that means even if they don't win another title for the next whatever many years, you cannot deny a three-peat not being a dynasty. Now, what'll happen is they'll have won 4 championships in 7 seasons. Should they win this year, they'd likely win their 13th division title at that point. They'll have won another pennant. So you're talking about a team since 2013 that will have won 13 division titles, 6 pennants, and 4 world championships. And mind you, 2 of those losses in the World Series are suspect too. They're suspect. So it's kind of you're looking at a legitimate dynasty right now in the making, in my view. Some will say it's a dynasty no matter what happens after that, and there's an argument there, right? But for me, definitely a three-peat puts you there. 4 and 7 years, because I always kind of base it more. I heavily hold on to the championship title. It's I can't call the Braves, even though they went to 14 straight playoffs in the 90s and early 2000s. I can't designate those guys a dynasty. They were not a dynasty. They won 1 championship in those 14 years. That's not a dynasty. If they had won 3, you had an argument, especially if they were beating the Yankees in the World Series. But even 3 in 14 years to me is, if they had won in 91, if they had won in 92, if they had won in 96, right? They had won in 99. They won in 95. If they had won 5 in 14 years, then you have no doubt in saying that they were definitely a dynasty. 5 in 14 years is definitely a dynasty in my view, and you made the playoffs every year. So why is this discussion important tonight? The importance of tonight's discussion is, and most of you are probably Dodger fans in here, so you're probably going to agree with me. But for those of you who are not, those of you who come up onto the show and have reservations on where baseball is going, be careful what you wish for. And if it's just to stop the Dodgers, I guess I understand it, but it's a pretty bitch-ass way to go about it, right? Because y'all weren't complaining when the Dodgers were losing in the NLDS every year. You weren't complaining really when the Dodgers were getting screwed by the Houston Astros. You weren't upset when they lost to the Red Sox, and we find out that they were cheating as well. Maybe not as bad as Houston, but they were still cheating. So what is it? What is the next excuse? My question is, let's say there is a salary cap, right? Because look what the salary caps have done in football, because that's the first thing I hear every time, right? Well, look at football. Look at football. I'm going to give you guys a little statistic here, in case you guys haven't heard this. And this is information that will go a long way in maybe changing your mind. Probably not, because most people just want to believe what they want to believe, right? So in the NBA, the first salary cap was implemented in 1985. In the NFL, this first salary cap was implemented in 1994. And obviously in baseball, there isn't a salary cap. So I'm going to go as far back as 1985, even though in football it didn't start until 9 seasons later. I'm going to tell you guys how many teams won a championship in the NBA during that time versus the NFL and versus Major League Baseball. And this is something you can talk to your friends about. Some of you have already heard this. I think I said it on one of my shows. I might have said it on LFB. I can't remember. And I'll get to your guys' comments here after this, but I wanted to make this very clear, okay? So since 1985, I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So since 1985, there's only been 14 teams that have won championships. 14. Now you say only. Wait a minute. It's a 30-man league. Yeah. So almost half the league has won the championship since 1985. In football, this is, and mind you, at least in the NBA, there was a soft cap. You could sign your own guy and not get penalized for it. But then the luxury tax came in, blah, blah, blah. But in football, it's a hard cap. There is nothing going over. You have to meet a number, and that's it, right? And I remember in 1994, now it's 300 million. Back then, it was like 34 million, right? So since 1994 in the NFL, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 of the 32 teams, and some of those teams didn't exist at that time. The Ravens went from Cleveland to Baltimore, which became an expansion team, and then they reinstituted Cleveland 99, and then the Houston Texans, after Houston Oilers went to Tennessee, became the 32nd team in 2002. So since then, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 teams. So almost half the teams have won a Super Bowl since then, since 1994 until now. Now let's look at baseball. Since I started in 1985, so that I could correlate it with basketball. Now you all remember 14 teams in the NBA that have won a championship, right? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. There are 30 teams in Major League Baseball. 21 teams have won a championship without a salary cap in it. So you tell me, guys, is 21 greater than 14? Is it greater than 16? Anyone? I'm gonna have to put my what is it? What is the oh no, I don't have that. Is it a punch? I don't know if that's loud enough. So interesting how the only time I started hearing about the salary cap really was right after really the World Series this last time, where it started to heat up. It was heating up during the season too, but it really heated up after the Dodgers beat the Toronto Blue Jays. And this goes to show you, and this is a really good mark for everybody to understand. This shows you how easily manipulated people are, and how they'll hear something online and then they'll start parroting it. They turn into a bunch of parrots without any information. So we're talking about since the NBA had its salary cap in 1985, and I based the championships in the same timeline for baseball. You have 7 more champions, because that number was each team, right? There's only 30 teams in Major League Baseball, just like there are in the NBA. So it's a good comparison, right? So since 1985, since there was a salary cap in the NBA, hear me out again. I may be talking slow for everybody. I'm hoping I'm not insulting anybody and talking down on you. I'm not. I'm more trying to put the information in so that you can tell others if they come back at you. Okay. Since 1985, I'm going to shift football to the side for a minute right now, because I have another reason for that situation. And it has to do with talent evaluation, talent availability, right? Which is what makes that an interesting discussion. But since 1985, guys, since 1985, if you put baseball and the NBA together, when the salary cap started in the NBA and when the baseball season started in 85, you have 7 more champions in baseball than you do in the NBA. And when you look at football since 1994, what do you have? What do you have? Well, you had the Niners in 94, the Cowboys in 95, the Packers in 96, and then Denver had a back-to-back. So that's one back-to-back in 97 and 98. Then you had the New England Patriots go back-to-back in 03 and 04. So that's 2 repeat champions in that time. And then fast forward to the next one, which is the Chiefs. The Chiefs went back-to-back. So you had 3 teams in the NFL in a hard cap league that went back to back. And a lot of those teams, New England, the Chiefs, went to 3 straight Super Bowls in that time. Brady went to 10 Super Bowls between 2001 and 2018. 10. I'm sorry, he went to 9 between that, and then the 10th one was the Bucks in 2020. But I wanted to stick to the dynasty stuff because they say there's no, parity, right? It was Manning, it was Big Ben, and it was Brady that were sitting in the AFC Championship game pretty much every year for almost 20 years. Is that parity to you? That's a hard cap, right? I keep hearing that the cap's going to solve things. They have a floor too. The NBA's had a floor. So I don't want to hear about the floor shit either. So what is it? Why is it that baseball has had more champions in it since the beginning of the salary cap in the NBA, 94 in the NFL, has more champions in baseball without a cap than these 2 leagues that everybody keeps, having a hard on for to have the same system? And what is that hard salary cap, which is really what it is now in the NBA since this new collective bargaining agreement, what has that now done? What has that produced? We have, since 2020, we've had the Lakers, the Bucks, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Celtics, and the Thunder win. And before 2020, you had the Raptors. So you've had since 2019, you've had different champions that whole time. That hasn't even that didn't even happen in the 70s. At least you had the Celtics winning in 74 and 76. You had the Knicks win in 70 and 73. Just saying, when you look at the stats, when you look at the information, I don't want to say stats because stats can be deceiving sometimes. You can mix numbers. They say numbers don't lie, but you can manipulate numbers to fit your narrative. That's why they pull per 48. This is what he makes, or this is what he does in statistical standpoints. I'm like, wait, hold on. I have eyes. I know what works with my eyes more than what numbers are going to tell me. So when they talk about Kobe having a horrible shooting day in Game 7 of the 2010 Finals, I'm sitting there going, okay, he had a horrible shooting game, but didn't he win? And why wasn't he the game high player? Like, why is it you switch that narrative depending on how you feel on the numbers, right? Well, he scored 23 points, had 15 rebounds. The guy had a 2010 game, a guard having 15 rebounds in a game, and you're telling me he had a bad game because he went 6 of 24. So 6 of 24 is bad, but 23 and 15 is not good, or doesn't mean anything. Anyone? See, it doesn't make any sense to me. So remember this. I'm going to count again. Since 1985, and then I'm going to answer some of your guys' questions and comments. Since 1985, the first year the NBA had a salary cap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 teams. I'm going to name them so that you guys, if you want to write it down, go back to it. It's been the Lakers, Celtics, Pistons, Bulls, Rockets, Spurs, Heat, Mavericks, Warriors, Cavs, Raptors, Bucks, Nuggets, Thunder. I mean, seriously, until the last few years, this would have been even less, right? In football, since 1994, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15. Sorry, I said 16 before. 15. 15. And if you look at 1985, you had the Bears, the Giants, the Redskins, the Niners. I mean, you pretty much have you pretty much have all the teams already that have won since '94. So really, if you got to just add Dallas in there. Yeah. So it's even more tight. Think about that for a second. Late '80s, early '90s. Essentially, it was the Niners or the NFC East that was winning championships. Yeah, I don't know. That one's a little more complicated because football's a little different. There's 22 on a field. But I'm gonna mention again since '85 for baseball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21. I'm gonna name the teams so you guys can write this down. Mets, Twins, A's, Reds, Blue Jays, Braves, Yankees, Marlins, D-backs, Angels, Red Sox, White Sox, Cardinals, Phillies, Giants, Royals, Cubs, Astros, Nationals, Dodgers, Rangers. Remember those stats. Write them down. It's a good punch in the face to those who don't know shit. Oh yeah. Drip show. When are you coming this weekend, my friend? I got a plan to get connected with you here, brother. Let me know. Best League, how are you? Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, Sun is here. What's up, Joe? What's up, man? See you soon. Yes, absolutely. Oh, look, it's me. Hey, Silver, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for keeping us busy. Yes, I think that was a nice little gap between now and tomorrow, and when things start to get back to normal a little bit. I have not heard the intro music yet. Yeah, so that intro music was one of the few intros that I wasn't getting docked on the copyright thing. It was driving me nuts. I had some really good shit too that I could have shown, but for some reason I kept hitting the copyright on some of these. So was able to finally find something that was royalty free. What's up, son? Good to see you, man. First move by Walter, a very good one with Ned. You're talking about Ned Coletti? Tough? Or are you talking about something else I don't know about? Or you mean Lawn? I don't know. I guess I'll see here in a few minutes. My team plays against Messi and Inter Miami on Saturday. Are you coming to my game? Probably not, brother. Probably not. But I'm going to get there. I'll get there eventually. Frozen envelope. Hey, Craig. How you doing, brother? Nice to see you. Joe, remember when Mark Trubo won the Silver Slug with the Angels? Vaguely. I know who Mark Trumbo was, but I don't remember him winning Silver Slugger. Hey, what's up? Oh, good. You guys are talking to each other. Joe, will you talk about MLS? The season kicks off this Saturday. I don't know enough about the MLS, son. I don't watch the MLS. Are you there? Okay, Joe. They are increasing max players' contracts to 60. Well, as long as the number keeps going up in terms of the salary cap, it's simple economics at that point. Which is weird too. You would think that a league that's not getting viewers would not be going up 7 to 10% a year, but that's the bitch of this whole thing is we're sitting here complaining about this, but they keep making more money. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. Agree 100% with that, Joe. Yes. How come with all this rest and soft play they keep getting injured? Well, I think a lot of it is they're not conditioning themselves well enough, and they're not taking care of themselves diet wise. Nutritional wise, they have all the access to some of the best stuff on the planet, but it doesn't look like these guys use any of it. And I don't think they care. I think it's a softer mentality too. I think the way they feel pain now is different than the way they felt it 30 years ago. I remember an episode of that Braun Nash podcast where Luka was also present. Braun and Nash said that modern players just play ball and only ball from a young age with all the AAU. So AAU's been around since. Let's see here. How long has AAU been around, right? I think I had predicted way before I was even born. So the Amateur Athletic Union has been in existence since 1888, established to create standards and uniformity in amateur sports in the United States. We're talking about way before even my great-great-grandfather was born. So when did basketball? Let's see. When did AAU basketball happen? Let's see what that is. Basketball. Let's see what it says here. How long did the basketball been a thing? I think it still says 1888. I'd have to do some more research on this in terms of the evolution, but blaming AAU for playing a lot, I'm not going to buy it. I think a lot of these guys are soft. A lot of these guys, if not all of them, are soft, and there's really no excuse. So, without further ado, I want to welcome my good friend, your friend, our friend, Mr. Empire Jeff. Welcome to the show. Couldn't have come at a better time. Welcome. I like your you got your spring training hat.
I did.
And you like the little, is it cactus and flowers?
I refuse to look at it. I don't know if I like it yet. I get a spring. I'm a hat guy. I got a lot of hats, so bare minimum I get spring training, a World Series and World Series championship. Right, obviously the last couple of years, and the new team hat, but. This one was the first one I paused at. I was like, and this has me on the fence. This has me on the fence because as soon as the hat arrived and I opened it up and I like put it on the table and I walked to the room, I came back and my wife was like, the hat you got me is too big. She thought it was a woman's hat. So yeah. So I was like, son of a bitch. I'm like, all right, well, I was already.
You sure she wasn't messing with you? You sure she wasn't? She
does
knew
mess
that.
with me, and she would be like, she was like, yeah, the hat's cute. It's cute. Like, so she keeps throwing little jab. Yeah, she keeps throwing little jabs, and so I was already kind of on the fence. But you know what? It's different. I don't like the pre-curved stuff. I want to be able to form my own curve or like let me mess it up myself, like or get it right myself. I don't like the pre-curved stuff. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, no, I don't know if I like it or not yet. I don't know.
Well, they've been making some really good ones lately. I guess they were bound to mess up one of them, but it's not just the Dodgers that have that. I just saw one that.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. Where do you put all your hats? You have a storage box, like 10 of them?
So I've got different. It's funny. I've got different situations throughout the house. So back here where I do my show, I got the hats that I wear on my show. I got those out here. That I got the hats that I will never wear because for certain reasons. And I got hats that I've worn too much. And then I just have like, if I'm going to be in the pool or something, I don't care about messing it up when I come out of the pool or whatnot. So I got different sections, but the ones I wear in the show, I keep back here. I've got like a shout out to Hat Club hooking me up. I got like this. It's like a long hat thing that with it's clear on the top, you fill on the inside. So I store them in different places. So depending on what they're used for, it is where they go.
Good. I remember when I was collecting Blu-rays and Star Wars Legos, I realized quickly that I was going to have to dust the Legos because I just liked the way they looked. This was years ago. And of course, buying Blu-rays, 15 years ago was the thing. I wasn't tapped into the digital world online yet.
Yeah.
And then I realized, okay, this is the second shelf I have to buy to go put in I call it the troll room, but it's the coat room right next to the garage door. So I'm sitting, I'm like, is this my life now? I gotta organize a bunch of fucking movies and shit, and like, and that happens. That's the click in a lot of the things that will come about in life. Sometimes I'm sitting, I'm going, what the fuck am I doing? And then I solve the issue. Oh, now I'm selling this stuff, and I'm gonna figure out a way to digitize all this, or what am I doing with all this Star Wars shit? I don't have time for this. I don't have time to go put up shelves to put up this stuff. So as I got into my mid-30s, that's when things started to make more sense in terms of the less I have, the better life is. And boy, did that change things. There's, when I look at my TV setup, everything's organized. And it's been like that for like 5 years, right? I'll interchange a couple things, add a couple things here and there for, like an Apple TV will be, 3 or 4 generations ahead, and then switch them out, and that's it. To me, that to me is the greatest thing to have in life, is to realize that stuff is a pain in the ass to deal with.
Hey, yeah, you've been to my place. You see how minimal I keep it. Like, you know what I mean? Like we keep it like there's really like
Yeah,
like it's I hate clutter. Clutter drives me nuts.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
having less.
You look at the back here, you don't see too much.
Mm.
I'm still trying to figure out how I want to design the wall right now with some of the drip stuff.
Yeah, I gotta rearrange. I told Chris, man, I gotta rearrange my whole office because of you, man. And I mean that a good way, is because I
Yeah,
don't have a place behind me that I can put it, right?
yeah.
So I've got to turn my whole angle around here, and which I've been in the process of doing this for like a year. Just my schedule derailed that last year, but I've got a whole mapped out plan for this. For one, for like something like this, and then one for like a guest setup with like 2 chairs and stuff. So it's kind of just like I just basically turn the thing around, whichever situation I'm going to use. So his stuff is going to be, the core backdrop of that as soon as I get it done.
He's going to be here this weekend, by the way. I'm sure he told you, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to come out there and hang out and do some things. But I was before you got here. And man, it's crazy how fast 40 minutes goes by. I was discussing the participants in terms of champions since the inception of the salary cap in the NBA in 1985, and how parity is judged. And even with the salary caps in the NBA since 1985 and the salary cap in football in 1994, baseball still has more champions, and it's considerable. And since 1985, I had to use 85 because that was the beginning, right? That was the first year the NBA had it. It just absolutely clowns the NBA in terms of champions. There 21 different teams won championships out of the 30 since 1985 versus the NBA, which was 14. And are we going by numbers? Are we going by feel? How would someone who is staunch, and I know this is bullshit. I know it's just an excuse, because as soon as they put in a salary cap, actually, here's what happened. I get all this. They got it all because of money. And then now it's salary cap. It jumps to another excuse. I heard this stuff also with the Lakers back in the day, because you had pieces of shit like Mark Cuban and Greg Popovich, who were bitching and whining every time Mitch Kupchak made them look like shit, right? Mitch Kupchak was supposed to be this, Aspergery type guy, right? Which is complete bullshit. He's just a quiet guy, right? But he was clowning those guys, right? He was clowning the R.C. Bufords and the Popoviches and the fucking, shiny coin billionaire Mark Cuban. He was clowning all those guys, and then they had to make an excuse. So this is why, because I've had people come after me about Mark Cuban who are not tied to sports, because they're tied to Mark Cuban, the whatever the fuck that stupid ass show he had.
Oh,
And yeah, I'm like, oh, hold on. I go, you guys are now getting out of your area now. I want you guys to come back into my area. This motherfucker right here is famous for being who he is, being rich, and being involved. That's why you know him, right? A lot of the Stan Kroenkes don't do interviews. They don't talk to anybody hardly ever, right? Mark Cuban was the opposite. He wanted to be famous. That was a big part of his shtick. However, at the core of who he is, and this is a lot of people, this isn't just a Mark Cuban thing. It's just easy to go to Mark Cuban because everybody knows him. He's the motherfucker that when he gets clowned, he will turn into that guy that's complaining. And that's what he is. And that's who he is. And it's not an accident that the Mavericks had issues behind the scenes. Now, I'm not going to get into that. I don't have time. I'm here to talk about, our shit. But it plays a factor in all the bullshit that people get fed and become parrots to greatness. What you're witnessing right now in baseball is greatness. Greatness that you rarely see and have not really seen from a roster that has all-time players. Now, You all know I love Derek Jeter. If God, and it's a weird question and weird comment to talk to God about, but if God came down and said, Joe, whose career in professional sports would you want to have? There wouldn't even be hesitation. It'd be Derek Jeter. 100%. Not Kobe, not MJ, not Wilt, not career. Derek Jeter.
For on and off the field?
There you go. That's why it was weird talking to God about that, right?
Yeah.
It'd probably be more probably coming up from downstairs on that one, right?
Yeah.
So I am very familiar with the late 90s Yankees, and they are a great team. They are a dynasty, and they have arguably the greatest dynasty of all time. Arguably, they have a say in there, because you don't win 3 straight, almost win 4 out of 5, and not. It's just not. It doesn't compute. And they were beating the Braves, who were supposed to be the team of the 90s. And again, they did their thing. However, you're not going to put Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams, Posada, Tino Martinez, Mariano Rivera, obviously arguably the greatest closer of all time. They're not Shohei Ohtani. They're not Mickey Mantle. They're not Joe DiMaggio. And we have not seen the freak, the great player in a consistent way be at the biggest stage in baseball a lot. It's very rare. You could say Reggie Jackson during the A's run in the 70s. Was Pete Rose ever the best player in baseball when they had the big red machine? That's debatable. I'm talking bona fide, 100%. Who's the best player on the planet? Shohei Ohtani. And then you have Judge. And we were all gifted that too. We were gifted Shohei versus Aaron Judge last year. We were gifted one of the best, if not the best, regular season game I've ever seen in Dodger Stadium, where Aaron Judge is hitting a home run, Shohei's hitting a home run, and then Shohei decided, you know what, I think I'm going to add another one in here, just to kind of let you know who really runs this thing. Now, of course, Shohei would never think that way. I don't think the Japanese think that way in a lot of ways. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But for us fans, we can vicariously live through that, right? But you don't see this in baseball. You don't see the best player on the planet consistently in an area where he's on the largest stage in his game. It's very rare. The Yankees had it in the 50s. And before then, that was it. And then it's really been kind of off and on at that point. So people don't realize how great this is for the league, because showcasing the best players on the planet is what made the NBA. It's what made the NFL. And if you don't believe me when I say that, who is excited about Sam Darnold and Drake May this year? I'm going to be pretty sure that even New England was like, right? So what do you want? You want to solve your problems by having somebody else solve your problem. You can't have your own setup solve the problem. That's just so bitch-like, coward-like. You can't have somebody, you can't have your own thing solve the problem. You have to go, oh, well, we need help. We need a salary cap to stop the Dodgers. They're spending all their money. Well, I'm going to say again what I've been saying. I want you to eat it, drink it, shit it out, and eat it again. This is what you get. All that shit talking, all that cheating that happened. And by the way, when we got cheated twice, we had homegrown players and we had guys that were thrown away. Justin Turner, Chris Taylor, Max Muncy. Huh? How come I didn't hear anything then? I didn't hear shit. I heard nothing. And now you're going to hear it. Because if the Dodgers win 15 straight, it still won't be enough. And that's where I stand on it. And I gave statistics because people like stats, right? It's a half and half with me with stats. I don't really give a shit really in the end, but it's important to know if you're going to sit here and say there are more opportunities because of A or B, well, I just seed your ass out of here by telling you since the beginning of this salary cap going to solve all your problem bullshit, you're still wrong. You're still wrong. And here we are.
Yeah, and baseball has never been about the sport of who spends the most wins. It's never been the case. And baseball has always been the sport, and we've talked about this numerous times, that the best team in baseball is not always who wins the World Series. It's the hottest team, the guys who got it going right at the time, a hot bullpen, a hot starting rotation, hot bats. If you get all three of them at the same time, you're unbeatable. And we've seen numerous times of massive upsets in the first round or a round of a playoff. It's not uncommon in baseball. It's a big deal in the NBA when the 8 seed beats a number 1 seed. It is not a big deal when a wild card team beats the best team in the league in baseball. It's not a big deal. We've seen it so many times. It's not a big deal when a wild card team wins the World Series. It's not a big deal when a massive underdog wins the World Series. It's not a big deal when a major favorite loses a World Series. Yeah, people will talk about it, but it's not something we've never seen before. In the NBA, you have a pretty good idea who's going to win a championship for most of the year, and as long as they stay healthy and don't get they stay out of their own way, they're probably gonna win it. NFL too. Baseball, who had Toronto going to the World Series last year? Who had Toronto taking the Dodgers to 7? Who had Toronto having home field advantage? Who had any of that, right? When you sit there and you think about it, who had any of that? Who had the Seattle Mariners having a 3-2 lead heading back to Toronto in the ALCS? Who had that? I mean, so who had the Dodgers sweeping Philly? Who had the Dodgers? No, not sweeping Philly. Sorry, sweeping Milwaukee.
Swept them in Philly.
Yeah, swept. But I'm saying, but who had them? I meant Milwaukee though. Who had the Dodgers sweeping Milwaukee? And yes, they did sweep them in Philly, and they took them out easier than people thought. So that's the thing about baseball is you could sit here and I think you could sit here and say, Joe, how the Dodgers could have went out in every single round of those playoffs. Even Milwaukee, they swept them. But games 1 and 2 in Milwaukee, those were tough games. Games 1 and 2 in Philly, very losable games. So when you sit here and watch these, and obviously they lost game 1 in Toronto, game 2 was neck and neck until the Dodgers got separation and Yamamoto was dominant. Game 3 could have gone either way, and it was 2 games long, could have gone either way. We know that game 6 and 7 could have gone either way. So it's like that's what made this one of the greatest World Series we've ever seen all time. And this is what made it one of the, it's funny. We were sitting there, Joe, talking about how miserable we were. Just want this over with. Like, this isn't enjoyable. This is torture. But because we were the anxiety was so high. But when we look back on it now, it was the best stretch of playoff baseball we had ever seen. And when we were in it, we couldn't feel it like that because we were in it. We were in it, and it was the anxiety was high. It was terrifying. It was gut wrenching. You had pain in all kinds of parts of your body because of stress and nerves. And that's what baseball does to you when it is at its peak. And this is what baseball does for you when you have this many people glued in, locked in, loving and watching a beautiful game of baseball, because we went a good 20 years without this. We went a good solid 20 years of baseball not being anywhere near this level of the product on the field. We've had great runs. We've had some great stretches. We've had some fun baseball. But I cannot remember a time where a World Series Game 7 ended up on a Saturday, and it damn near felt like everyone had like a Super Bowl party. Because it was a Saturday, there was everyone either out or watching it all together. It was Game 7. It was extra innings. And I can't think of a single moment from Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Not a moment. I can't think of anything.
It had to do with star power because the NBA Finals did go 7. But not all 7-game series are created equal.
And they're not, but you get what I'm saying, though. People, like, it's it's a tough. It's. We've been talking about this for a while. The baseball's been going like this. The NBA's been going like this, and I think baseball takes them this year. I think they really do. 51 million viewers watching Game 7 of the World Series. The excitement on that.
I think that's the most since 1991.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I stopped by my parents' house and drove over here, so I didn't see the beginning of your show, so I'm not entirely sure what you covered and what you didn't. But I do want to say that when you're looking at parity, which fundamentally it's understandable, you want everyone to have a chance. Give everyone a, make sure they have a competent owner, a competent organization, a chance to keep their stars, a good ballpark. Like, you want everyone to have equal playing fields when it comes to structure and foundation, right? But not everyone's going to have that, because not everyone wants to spend their money on structure and foundation. And this is what separates Mark Walter. And this is why eventually Laker fans will be very excited. But this is not an overnight thing. It will not be an overnight thing. And it wasn't with the Dodgers either. It just feels like it now, but it wasn't. So here's the thing. The thing about parity, competitive balance, salary caps, salary floors, aprons, or whatever it is that you want to call it, that is all just a cover for making sure that the owners make more money and they limit what the players can make. That's all that is really about. It's all what it's really about. And at the end of the day, you cannot have, and again, I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. You cannot have a successful league that has people glued to it unless there is more of a permanent villain than a permanent hero. And let me explain here. You need a team like the Bulls. You need a team like the Kobe Shaq Lakers. You need a team like the Warriors. And you need a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers. And you need that team every year, other than Cleveland that faced Golden State that whole stretch for the most part. You need those random heroes that come along, like the Blue Jays. You need those teams who come around, who everyone else in the world is rooting for, painting the Dodgers as a villain in their eyes. You need that team that's winning 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 2 out of 4, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 6. You need that, because you need half of them watching the team they hate, hoping they lose, and you need the team, half of them watching the team they love, hoping they win. Without that, if it was 2 different teams meeting every year, there is no character arc. There is no building. There is no, I'm tired of them already. There is not that without that. So why I call the Dodgers a villain, they're not a villain, but they're a villain in people's eyes. So I embrace that. They're not a villain. They are really the heroes. But just like I talked about us in the playoffs and how we couldn't recognize it at the time because our stomachs were twisted and we were making ourselves sick, we were in it at the time. So right now, all these other fan bases, they're in it right now. So they're not going to really appreciate what the Dodgers bring to the table, because they're kicking the living shit out of their teams and everyone else. But history will look upon them and they will be judged as one of the greatest, most defying dynasties of all time in any sport. And it's because they were looked at as a villain for multiple stretches, because they are a dynasty and you need dynasties. You need dynasties. And without dynasties, you have a stale league. You have a very stale league. And nothing prints money for owners and organizations and teams and anything like that than dynasties. Not even necessarily for the team that's winning it, but for everybody else. Because you know the story of the Bulls is they pretty much sold out all those games after Mike left, and they didn't make a ton of money during that run, but they get it back later. And that's what it is here. You look at the NBA. Joe, who is the villain in the NBA? Who is it? There isn't one. There isn't one. Mahomes and the Chiefs were the villains in the NFL for a lot of people. That dragon got slayed, and now here we are. But you talked about it real quick. You talked about it. Drake May and Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl. Everyone who hated on Mahomes and the Chiefs, they didn't have that same edge this year. Unless you were someone who just hates, their area being New England instead of Boston. You know what I mean? Unless you're just someone who just, hey, like, there was no feeling in this Super Bowl, Joe. And it's because there was no true villain.
Yeah, the Patrick Mahomes hate is always puzzling to me. I don't know what this guy did to anybody.
He won. He won.
So losers don't like guys winning too much.
Because it separates them further from them.
Okay. So it's essentially the poor schleps that get angry at the rich guy.
Or the homecoming queen, prom queen, the quarterback.
The popular crowd versus the stoner person who doesn't get any attention. The greatness deteriorates almost every generation.
Mm-hmm.
You're looked down on when you want to separate yourself from being great. Kobe Bryant, when he was trying to be great, was somewhat hindered in terms of, I wouldn't say his teammates were too harsh, other than maybe Shaq, but he wanted to be great. He wanted to be an all-time great. And maybe Rick Fox and Derek Fisher and those guys understood it, but at the same time, they still wanted cohesiveness within the ranks, right? Like, I get it.
It pays dues.
Right. But but I don't know anyone else that's doing that. And then it doesn't help when the face of the league in the NBA, LeBron James, is making excuses for why people can't play 82 games a year. That's a bad look. And it's that kind of stuff that's irritated even Laker fans with LeBron James, and why LeBron James will never be an all-time GOAT. It's never going to happen. He doesn't have the GOAT gene. His game is got it, but you have to have everything. And I've gotten a lot of questions about who's better, LeBron or Bird. Who would you rather have, LeBron or Bird? It's a great question. It's a great question. I'd still take Larry Bird over LeBron.
So whose career I'd rather have? I'd rather have Bron's. But if it's about one series, one game, a close game, I don't think you can go wrong either. Or, and I'm not an anti-Bron guy. You know, I know there's a lot of people who are Bron lovers. There's Bron haters. I'm kind of in that guy. Kobe's my guy. Kobe's my favorite player, but I've never been that Kobe fan that hated Bron. But I think that Bird is a guy that I always feel like people don't give enough credit to. So, you know what I mean? I'm automatically go to defend those guys because of the narratives, right? But Bird was so nasty. If his injuries didn't cut him short, he gets left off a lot of lists that he belongs on. And I think I kind of disagree with you with the point of Bron being in a GOAT conversation, because I think he is. But my thing is, the second you let anyone in other than, this is just my opinion. This doesn't mean anything. It's just my opinion. The second you let anyone in other than Jordan and Kareem, the second you let anyone in outside of that, then the conversation expands way further. This is why I can't even do top 3 or top 5 anymore, because once you get around top 5, I think 5 through 10 are all kind of there. I think they're all kind of there. If you get out of top 3, then 4 through 10, you could, it's like the Western Conference standings. You can flip one here, flip one there. I mean, I don't know what you think about that, but if you go, my number 1, number 2 is Jordan. And this is my favorite. This is who I would take as the greatest one, is Jordan and Kareem. Those would be my 2 guys. Whoever you put, and that's tough for me because Magic is, so to me, whoever you put at 3, you could have at 7 or 8, in my opinion. And whoever you have at 8, you could have at 3 or 4. Is how I see it. Now, I wouldn't put Duncan at a 3, Duncan at a 4, but you know what I mean? But like Magic Johnson, you know, you got the Wilts, the Russells, the Birds, the Kobes. Those guys, you can interchange them on almost any spot, depending if you favored a big over a wing or a small forward or a shooter or whatever it is. But I think LeBron is there, just because his body of work, what he's done. The things I dislike most about Bron really don't have anything to do with his game. I think I gotta find this. I favorite it, so I'm gonna do like one of those. You do the beginning, you talk after it. Someone did a video, and it really got me thinking. And he was spot on. And it really got me thinking that this is the way out of it. This is the way for the NBA out of it. And he says, I wonder what's going to happen to the NBA once we're out of the player empowerment era, which we're about to be. And that really got me thinking because I never really framed it like that. The LeBrons, the Carmelo Anthonys, the D Wades, to an extent the Dwight Howard, like these guys who their own personal brands and not staying with the one team, holding team hostages with these 1-2 year contracts. So teams didn't even know how to build their organizations, or teams would go all in on a guy with 1 year left. That guy would leave and that team was just destroyed for 4 more years. That era of that type of player, I think, is coming to an end, which I think benefits the league. And I never really thought about it that way. But I think you have this pot, and you take the pot and you throw in player empowerment era, you throw in the Steph Curry era, you throw in these things, and you kind of mix it all in, and that's how we got here. Really, it's really how we got here. And I don't dislike any of the players I mentioned, but what I'm saying is, again, to me, it was more off the court than on the court. Like them being their own business and not letting their own business people handle their business. Them not being the guy who just goes, plays ball and lets their agent and publicist and they do everything for them. They've got to be in every story, control every narrative, be in front of every camera, be on social media. Like I said, that era of basketball, like when's the last time you saw like LeBron just look into a camera and just say, fuck him, like Kobe would do, right? Like I think the gap between player empowerment was starting when Kobe was still there. He just wasn't part of it. But I really do think that Kobe was the last of the dying breed. Damn. You know what I mean by that. But what I'm saying is like that era mixed with Steph Curry, mixed with no real coaching in the league anymore. There's really no one. These guys don't even, Joe, these guys don't even watch their own games. NBA players don't even watch the NBA. They don't watch their own league. Like, could you imagine, Joe? Like us in if you and I were in the NBA in the 2000s and we just finished a game and we're on the East Coast and we know that the West Coast games are coming up. What's the fuck? We get ready. We're gonna watch these games. The fact that these guys don't even watch their own games tells you everything you need to know about the NBA. That went a little long, but that's kind of like my point. The player empowerment era. And that coming to an end, I think, is the only hope.
I think it's society that dictates personalities. They're making more money than they ever have. They don't need to watch their games. They don't need to do anything because they're going to get money. Look at James Harden. Look at Jimmy Butler. Those are pretty. Player empowerment in the NBA has always been there, but it's never gone to this level.
Not on Front Street like this,
yeah, where James Harden can dictate where he wants to go whenever he wants to go, and he has to do an interview where he says loyalty is overrated, and everybody's sitting there clapping, right? Loyalty is an interesting word that I hear a lot of times, and I understand that an owner can be two-faced and get rid of you at any time. However, sports is a ticking time bomb for anyone and everyone. Who are you, James Harden? Who you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. You've made it in life without a doubt. However, fans don't give a shit about your money or whether you're going to go to the Hall of Fame unless they're, James Harden fans. Teams are usually going to take precedent in winning with that guy. Loyalty is it's got to be you being loyal to yourself. I know that sounds deep. I'm not trying to make it sound deep, but when you're not showing up, you're not showing up to do what you're supposed to do, and you're getting paid all this money, and it's your job, and technology's at its peak at the moment, and all these things that you have the advantage of healing and fixing and diets and all this. The excuse starts to run out, but then at the same time, the same people that are sitting there hitting everybody in the head with salary cap, salary cap, salary cap, you're only winning because you're spending money. It's just in that moment, they're just trying to get people to get pissed off because that makes them feel better. Kansas City Chiefs, they're winning Super Bowls left and right. Y'all ever been to Kansas City?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Kansas City makes there's a town in near Temecula. It's got like 12,000 people in it. It's called Hemet.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar. Now, Hemet has an interesting history. It was the richest town at some point in the country. That's where all the banks were. I just learned that about 2 years ago, too. And now it's Tweakerville.
It's Hemet.
It's Hemet. So Kansas City rivals in terms of when you walk out and you look, it rivals Hemet. They're winning Super Bowls and they're doing all this stuff, right? There's no glamour in Kansas. Matter of fact, and I don't want to shit on ownership in Kansas City. I think the Hunts are actually good people. But when they came out with their grades in terms of how they accommodate their players, it was on the bottom. And I'm familiar with this because I'm also a Steeler fan, and the Rooneys have been notoriously cheap and under accommodating as well. So much so that they do things in the goodness of their heart. They let the Pitt Panthers play at Acrisure. Geez, I can't even say that damn word anymore. I get sick of saying it. I want to just say Heinz Field. They let the high school teams play there, and that's the whole point of building the stadium there, was to accommodate the community, right? And that's honorable. It's great. But at the same time, you're compromising your own team on Sunday when Friday and Saturday destroy the field, and you're stubborn and don't want to put turf in. And that becomes this discussion now where you're a professional elite football franchise and you can't even do simple basic stuff to make sure your guys are accommodated. And that comes back to, again, there's no other way to look at this without having some kind of political thing that's kind of tied to it. And that's, I don't like anything socialistic. You could say the fire department and police are somewhat like that, right? Our taxes go to pay their salaries and stuff like that. But I don't think those are the same things. And there's a reason why in a lot of the small cities out in America have volunteer firemen. I'm not going to go into that detail again. The point is, when you make everything even, you get mediocrity. And the reason why the NFL has not had parity is because the rules have not allowed it. And maybe that's changing too. I think the defenses have caught up. I think it's a combination of a couple things. Defenses have caught up on the new offensive revolution of the last decade, and the development of quarterbacks has hit a huge. It's pitted. These guys like C.J. Stroud that they've been trying to pump up is not coming through. Josh Allen not coming through. Lamar Jackson not coming through. We're being fed that these guys are the next thing, but they're not. What's the number one thing right now in football? What's making it work for certain teams? I think in the end, it's still great coaching. It's the one league left where coaching can actually make a difference. Now, that's an interesting discussion. Your boy Dave Roberts surprised a lot of people. And I was even surprised.
Not me.
I was surprised because I had to defend him for the first time in my life, really defend him. I go, you cannot make lucky decisions 8 times in 2 games. It doesn't work like that. One, maybe two. Baseball's random like that. But I go,
that's just this year. That's just this year.
Right. Well, but it really hit in this last run.
Mhm.
You had the Rojas flip. You had Will Smith moving up, Betts moving down. You had Paz getting put in when he got put in. You had Kike being set up to play left field once the playoffs started. And that one really bothered me in terms of my ego. I can't believe I didn't see that coming. That was really stupid on my part. I should have seen that. I should have not worried about it. And I think a lot of the reasons why I was worried about it was because there was a time, what was it, early September or late August, I totally forgot, when the Padres went up 1 game. There was a legitimate reason why. But then again, they came through and it was fine. So, but my irritation was I should have seen that he was going to put Kike in there. Conforto was never going to see the playoffs. I don't know why I didn't see that. I should have seen that no matter what was going on. So he made these decisions, and every single one of these decisions, the decision to put Yamamoto in when he did, the decision to put Glasnow in when he did,
get Roki out and get Snell out when he did.
that turned out to be correct. Those are too many decisions to say it was luck. And it was his masterpiece. It was his, I always forget the damn Super Bowl. It was Super Bowl, the Rams and Patriots. 2018-19. What Super Bowl was that? Super Bowl 58? No. Super Bowl 53. Super Bowl 53. That was Belichick's masterpiece. It just happened to be his last Super Bowl. I remember like it was yesterday, and it was very similar to this last Super Bowl in a lot of ways. I was watching what Jared Goff was doing in that game. Halfway through the first quarter, I said, these motherfuckers are not going to score a touchdown this entire game. Everybody's like, what are you talking about? McVay and all this. I'm like, he ain't scoring. They're not going to. I don't know what they might end up scoring like a late touchdown when it doesn't matter. That's what I thought at the time. I said, they're not scoring. They're not scoring tonight. And then what kept them in the game was the fact that Brady went full Peyton Manning in Super Bowl 50, managed. He said, I ain't fucking around with Aaron Donald, and I ain't fucking around with this defense. They're not going to score. I'm going to bide my time. And you saw a 13-3 game, right? They scored a late touchdown to put the game away. That game was essentially in the single digits until the end. This was much like how Belichick's masterpiece and all the stuff that he did in that game, the way he called that game, because even McVay at the end of the game said, I don't know what the fuck was going on. I'm paraphrasing, of course. He didn't know. He was stumped, and he said it. And I thought that was when I said I became a fan of Sean McVay right at that moment. I was like, this motherfucker is legit. Not that I didn't think he was legit before, but sometimes you get that moment where someone will say something, and I'm like, that motherfucker gets it. He said it. He goes, I didn't know what the fuck I didn't know what the hell to do. I was fucking figured out. I got my ass whooped, basically. This World Series was Dave Roberts' fuck you to Joe Soro, to all the motherfuckers out there that thought I sucked ass. I was trying to learn on the fly. Eat this shit right now. You, people in Toronto, people in America, it doesn't matter. And to me, that's how I guess, gauge respect at that point. There's no way it's going to come off that I'm a homer, but I'm not. There's documentation of how I have not been a big fan of Dave Roberts. But Dave Roberts managing Game 6 and Game 7 the way he did, if he didn't manage those games the way he did, they don't win. Not close. And that doesn't happen in baseball a lot. anymore. Baseball doesn't, I don't know if this is the right term, but baseball doesn't need the manager as much as they used to need the manager. But they needed Dave Roberts to win that World Series. They would not have wanted. If he doesn't move up Will Smith, the Dodgers lose that series. If he doesn't put Rojas in there, they lose the World Series. If he doesn't put Pages in to replace Edman, I don't know if Kike catches the Willie Mays catch. I don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
Okay. We don't know. But the hilarious part about that particular play is all year I was so bothered by Pages hovering around the left, the right, wherever he was playing when there was a pop. Like, why the fuck are you like, you were like the tackler on a punt return. Like, you're just like there. Like, dude, get the fuck away. Let him catch. The irony and all that. The irony in watching him run over somebody this time and save the World Series. All because Roberts said, I got to put this guy in there because I need him to throw somebody out in case to go home. Well, instead, he gets one of the more amazing plays you'll ever see in a moment like that. Ran 120 feet, ran a human being over, and caught the ball like it was nothing. Didn't even phase him. All that happened because Dave Roberts made decisions. And I'm not taking credit for any of this, by the way. I'm just saying, I want to thank Dave Roberts for finally getting off the sheet. These decisions, especially when it came to inserting certain pitchers, that was the deal breaker for me. When he started doing that, and I'm still going to say the article of 2024, and I think it was in August. I think that changed everything for him.
I think that one did too, but I think you got to take it back a little bit. I think really with Dave, I think some of people's biggest frustrations with Dave were 2018 and a lot of things that were earlier on in his career when he was learning how to manage. When he came in and being the front office's guy and, you know, the guy that works with the analytics, and that's the reason why he got the job. And I don't think people give Dave enough credit for the culture that he's built. He is the biggest part of the culture there. The Dodgers said, this is what we want to be. You have the people, you have the ones who vision it, and then you have the ones that innovate it, right? You have the ones that put it in, that deploy it, that run it every day, that build it. And that's what Dave has always been. So I'm a culture builder, whether it be in, you know, my coaching years or running companies, whatever it is. I'm a guy that strongly believes in culture. And I know a culture builder when I see one, and I know a guy who doesn't make it about himself, and how, whether you're the top or the bottom of the team, you feel like you're part of the team, and the way you're communicating. And let me tell you something. And you and I had so many conversations during the year, and it's not that I know more than baseball about you, but I felt like I had a better pulse on it, of knowing what they were going to do long-term versus what they were doing in the interim. And what I kept telling you, like, at the same time, like, Joe, doesn't matter who's playing left field right now. Like, Joe, it doesn't matter what pitching change they're making right now. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. They just got to get in, because with what they've been dealing with, they're not going to sacrifice the greater good to win a game in June. Like, they're just not going to do it. The Dodgers do not manage to win every game in the regular season. They will punt games. They will lose games to ensure that they win in October. And they will do this again next year. They will do this again next year too. There'll be stretches where they're not playing great and people will start to turn on them again. But what I'm trying to say is, those moments when Pages was struggling and they didn't take him out and they left him in there, part of it was so he could be confident while he was at the plate. And part of it was because so he could know that his teammates and his coaching staff believed in him. But a lot of it really was those reps in center field. Look, you may be out there and go 0 for 2 months, but at the end of the day, you're our strongest arm in the outfield. You're a guy we're going to need in those moments, and we need you as ready as possible in center field So we need you to get as many reps as possible to feel comfortable with making that catch he made over Kike. Because, Joe, he's not making that catch at the beginning of the season. He's not making that catch. And that's what it is. And when I'm sitting there, people are like, why are they putting this guy here? Why are they doing that? Why are they not playing Kim? Why are they not playing Kim? Why are they not playing Kim? Because they don't want to. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason why they do everything. Now, I agree. Dave did go off script. Dave did push a lot of buttons. He did a ton of that in 2024 with the bullpen, including those punt games he did with everyone were losing their minds over, but they don't win without those punt games. And the Dodgers will roll in the towel and they will wave the flag in a game that they deem unimportant. And I think one of our biggest debates was the Yamamoto game. We were on the complete opposite sides of that. The Yamamoto no-hitter. And I'm screaming, get him out now. You are, and a lot of other people were, and I'm not saying in the moment you were wrong and I was right. I'm saying this is just philosophy and strategy. Pretty much everyone was saying, let him finish a no-hitter. Let him finish that. That no-hitter means shit if he pulls something in his elbow. It means nothing that you got a no-hitter late in the season against the Orioles. It means nothing if you lose Yamamoto. It means nothing. And that's kind of always been my thing. The Dodgers have a certain amount they want him to go to because his contract and his stuff they got to, it's not just managing to win. They're managing longevity and they're managing a dynasty. So you can't risk to lose Yamamoto this year and the next. You can't do that. So this isn't just Dave Roberts. This is, hey, they speak between innings. Like, look, you know what? If he can get out of here, but I guarantee you, like if that was a tie game and Yamamoto had a no-hitter in the ninth, he would not have gone out there again in the 10th. Like they basically was, look, we'll let him go here. The second this is over, he's over. He's out of there. And that's what they did. I agreed with it at the time. I would have loved to see him go out there and finish it, yes. But I knew the bigger picture. When you had Shohei Ohtani, he was dominating the Phillies in a series where they just destroyed our bullpen in back-to-back games. And everyone threw a fit when they brought him out and took him out. And I'm like, they have to. They have to. The Dodgers knew, Joe, about halfway through the season that we have to do everything we can to preserve our starters. We have to. There's no way we're winning if we don't protect them. There's no way. And they operated as such, and it worked. Now, they're not going to be right all the time, and not every button they push is going to work like it did, that when Doc did push all those buttons that it worked, that was the exception, not the rule. But the thing with Doc is what I've always stood on, and I've talked to numerous people about this, and what I've always stood on with Doc is the people who play for him, the people that play against him, the legends that came before him, the people that played with him. I've never heard anybody whose opinion I value speak down on him. He's human. He'll make mistakes. And I think early on in his career, when he was figuring out how to be a manager, and I think people truly don't understand how hard it is to manage an overload of talent. It's what separated Phil Jackson from so many people. Phil Jackson can't take a team full of young guys and develop them, even with the best offense in the world. He said him and Tex Winter, no way in hell was taking a startup team anywhere. They need those plug-and-play guys, those guys who are there that all he's got to do is get their minds right, but he needs the talent that gets them over the hill. Dave Roberts can coach a top-tier team, or he can coach an up-and-coming team. And when it came to Dave, watching how he went about his business, the way his team reacts to him, the way he talks to every player, the communication, keeping everyone in the loop, no one is surprised with the Dodgers, that all matters. And I saw that early. And when they win, Mookie's my favorite player. You know this. Dave is the first person Mookie runs to when they win. Like, he loves him. So when first ballot Hall of Famers vouch for this guy, That just carries a lot of weight with me. It really does. And I've been pro Dave for a while. I wasn't always pro Dave. I was very frustrated with him in 2018. I was extremely frustrated in 2019 and 2022. But I feel in 2023 was one of his better managerial from a regular season perspective. There were issues in the playoffs, but he didn't have a very good team. But in 2024 and 2025, the buttons that he's pushed, even with all that talent, they don't win in 2024 without the bullpen and the way he managed the pen, and they don't win in 2025 without the buttons he pushed. And that's just a fact.
It's easy to start supporting when the wins start coming, but it's based off of those decisions that weren't being made before, now being made. The frustration this last year was this was supposed to be an all-timer, and the Dodgers have never won in the history of their existence have ever won back-to-back championships. If I felt like it was 2009 Lakers. It was after a loss against the Celtics. There was a lot of angst. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of irritation. There was a lot of legacy on the line type stuff. So this 2025 season was similar to that. And I don't think I'm ever going to truly understand taking it easy. And Dave Roberts is it looks like he's the perfect coach of this era. He's the guy that people love and respect and admire, and he's got good communication skills. It's low key. He'll get nasty here and there, but it's not. There's a generational, and it's funny to say this because obviously Dave Roberts is older than I am, but he's adapted to today's player, right? That's what you're supposed to do. I don't identify with that. That's a trait that I have, that I am used to being yelled at. I got my ass whooped when I fucked up. Like that's how I grew up. I didn't get beat to a pulp when I screwed up. I got a tongue lashing or a lashing in general, right? I grew up watching Bill Cowher, Bill Parcells, Jim Leland, Tommy Lasorda. These were the guys I connected with. And it's hard to see how everything in all sports has softened as much as it has, and then having to see the coach, the manager, I guess, enable it. A lot of times my brain goes into that area. However, the Dodgers weren't the best team I've ever seen this year. But this was, in my view, in the 4 championships that I remember seeing, it was probably the greatest team that you could ever root for to win. And I know the 88 team is a big one. I obviously you want to root for the guys that probably shouldn't have been there, but I don't, maybe my mindset at that time was different than it is now. Maybe I'm a little bit more mature. I get things a little better now, right? But it was really nice to see Kike Hernandez, who was, again, one of those guys that wasn't valued, that the Dodgers picked up. It was nice to see Pages, who's a homegrown, very kind of aloof type guy, being in a stage at that point. Because I heard after the game, you know, we all dove into YouTube for hours. I still am, by the way. Just watched the video you sent me the other day for the 13th time. No,
so
doctor,
good.
no.
Go back. Go so bad, Virgin. I'm in a weird place there between finding it so hilarious and feeling so bad for them at the same time.
I
They
don't
make
mind.
it
Yeah,
so
those
easy.
guys were. I have an interesting assessment on those guys. I don't. They jump back and forth in their logic.
They do, but they're
overall, I think there's a lot to identify with in terms of how they react to things. So I'm not. I don't think I could. It's entertaining when it doesn't work for them. I'm going to be honest, but at the same time, I think
when he fell to the floor, where they both fell backward.
No!
Oh my God! It is. Just about just
the Canadian lingo, because then the other guys were also everything. Comments are my favorite part of any video usually, and one of the comments on one of the guys that was calling the game, he's like, everything's a liner with this guy. Everything there'll be a pop up. It's a liner.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Look at the sequences of the last few games, and the irony again in that this was all done by money and the big players, right? Who are the heroes of these games? Kike Hernandez, Andy Pajes, Miguel Rojas, Will Smith. Now,
next month,
Yamamoto is not homegrown, technically, but he's never played for anybody but the Dodgers. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about one or two guys. We're talking about 5 guys that were homegrown, that were discarded, and have only played for the Dodgers. That were the guys that were the basis of everything. And again, Shohei Ohtani, in the end, again, baseball's it's like this, right? Everybody has a hand in something. Edman had a hand in something. Teo had a hand in something. Everything in this run, why it was a beautiful thing, why it was a beautiful run, is everyone had a play, in my view, that cost the other team the game. Teo, with all the bullshit that went around with him, this is something I never really got on Teo. I don't know if you noticed that. I never really was. Teo had this knack of covering up his fuck ups, and even though it was frustrating on what was going on, but I felt like something was off.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and you had a feeling with Teo, like he pays what he owes. He pays what he owes.
He does, but the thing was, and then you find out this guy had a groin problem. That's the one injury I've gotten. I had a sprained knee for a week, but I had a messed up groin for like a month. Dude, that fucking thing would not go away. Okay? And when I see that play, when Jimenez hits it between the gap,
mm-hmm. He couldn't get to it.
He couldn't get to it.
Mm-hmm. Same thing in Philly.
Mm-hmm. So to understand it later, to understand he had a groin problem, to understand it because I've had that problem, you cannot move a certain way because guess what? You might pop it this time.
You can't change direction as well. Yeah.
Right. Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, you're telling me that Teo, who is a locker room god, dugout god, the entire city of LA loves this human being. This player's, you're telling me this guy is just turning into Albert Bell out of nowhere? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Especially the way him and Edman came out of the gate in April. That was right.
And both got hurt at the same time.
Right. So my thing is, everyone had a say in this thing. There was dramatic moments from everywhere. Like it just didn't stop. And how do you look at that? How do you look at this run and not appreciate the game more? Everybody's saying this was the best World Series they've ever seen. Yet all we hear about, and this is the problem with the toxicity that you always mention.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it now salary cap? Why can't you just enjoy what you just saw? This wasn't the Dallas Cowboys running over the Bills in Super Bowl 27 and 28, or no one gave a shit then. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, again, they're talking out of both places. So then what's the excuse going to be if there was a salary cap and they keep winning, which they will, by the way?
They will.
So what's the excuse going to be then? Oh, well, it's LA.
Or that they cheated, or the league wants them to win.
So the cheated part, I noticed I started seeing posts cheating. I'm like, and I would go, and really, it would really stop after that because no one had a response. I think they were just saying it to. I'm like, what do you mean cheating? Cheating how? We got cheated. We got fucked
twice.
We got fucked twice, and we were deprived. Likely, 100, probably likely, we were deprived. Hell, you know what? The Yankees probably have an even bigger problem with this. We lost out on a Yankee Dodger probably World Series in 2017. How about that?
And that's probably a 50-50 series. So
right?
The Yankees had a chance to win that year too.
That was a really good Yankee team. So now, what is it? When does it stop? It's never going to stop because there's too many people and there's too many people that have the ability to say things, right? So my thing is, I'm really good at sticking it. Do I enjoy it? Yeah, I do, but not really. Not all the time, because I like to change up stuff. I don't want to keep saying the same thing. But in the end here, you all have to understand something for those of you who don't know. This is not a 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029 thing. I want everyone to know this, and I want you to have it registered in your head, because we're not going to be around when this ends. This is the team of the century coming up. The Guggenheims are not playing this. The Guggenheims have been around for a very long time. Those money people, if you want to know, go read up the information on the Titanic. The Guggenheims are on there. Matter of fact, the scene where the guy comes up having a brandy with his escort.
Yep.
We're gonna go down as gentlemen. Even then, the Guggenheims had. And that's real, by the way. I looked it up. That's actually how it went down. Like, I mean, the guy went out like a fucking baller. So the Guggenheims have a history of being ballers. The Dodgers are run by the Guggenheims and Mark Walter and them. This is not going to be a Shohei Ohtani run only. This is going to be a century-long, as long as they own the business, run. The Dodgers are going to be the Yankees of the 21st century. I have no doubt they are going to win probably 15 to 20 World Series in this century. Now, I'm not going to be around for all of it, likely, unless they figure out something to make me live longer. But this is not just, again, the 20s. This is going to be the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. The Dodgers are going to be the team of the 21st century. And you're going to have, and you want to put a salary cap in, you don't want to put a salary cap, it doesn't matter. And you're going to see something else coming here. And I'm finally flipping it back to where the headline was for here. I'll try to keep it Dodgers as much as I can because I know the NBA is kind of off kilter for you right now. But I'm having a really hard time talking to my Laker community. Like, they're stubborn as fuck with this transition. I keep telling these assholes, dude, just fucking wait. Oh my God. They hired Magic's boy today. That means Magic's going to make all the calls for. I'm like, oh my God.
No, it's not.
And you would think, like, do you guys just live in this Laker bubble? Just check, like, go on Bing, Google, Ask Jeeves, whatever the fuck. Search, just put just a couple things and they'll come up.
No, they just go read the toxic comments and the toxic takes and the.
So that's why. Okay, and you're right. But see, here's the thing, and I said this in our text today. By the way, folks, I talked to Jeff probably more than my wife during the day.
Probably likewise, yeah.
Right? My wife has a job where she can always answer the phone and answer the text, but she's a grinder. She's got to talk to parents and fucking administrators, right?
If I text my wife during the day, she's like, "What happened? Who died? What do you want?"
Right?
You know, I'm fucking busy. Yeah.
So the I can't, in good conscience, say, "Okay, fuck everybody. I'm going to do." I can't do that. That doesn't solve problems. And I'm not saying you have to save the world. I'm not asking Jeff to go do what I'm doing. Again, Jeff and I have a lot in common. A lot in common in the areas that matter: the family part, sports, marriage, the pillars of life. But we also have different ways of connecting to things. That's a guarantee, and that could be upbringing. That could be a lot of other things too. So that's what common maybe makes this dynamic good. Is you're seeing something. You see Dave Roberts from down the road. I'm seeing immediate because I'm an immediate guy. I'm about now. And what changes that though is okay. We discussed this 8 months ago. I said, I cannot see this team not win this year. They can't go one and done. I don't want to see 2 out of 3. They need to win back to back. If this is a great team, great. I define great differently than most, apparently. To me, this is not great winning 1. No, I'm sorry. It's not a dynasty. No, Dave Roberts is not in the Hall of Fame yet. This is back in July. I said, you slow your roll. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. To me, he wasn't. But I have higher standards for the Hall of Fame anyways. But anyways, I go, this team has to win back-to-back championships for me to say this is a great team. Because essentially this is the same team in 24 and 25, right? The core of the team is the same. Now, I'm not going to ask for a three-peat. You heard me say that too. I am not expecting them like I expected them to go back-to-back. Obviously, there's a good chance of it happening. They certainly solved 2 of their major issues. But if they don't win this year, I am not going to be upset like I would have been in 2025. And I am not going to let what happened last year happen again. I am upset with myself now that you brought it up. I did not enjoy the run. I didn't enjoy those games. I didn't watch half the games in 6 and 7 because I thought I was going to fucking die. My chest was caving in.
It was rough.
I kept remembering Vinny Testaverde's dad. I always remember Vinny Testaverde's dad. I don't know why this image is always in my head when it comes to heart problems in games. Because Vinny Testaverde back in the 90s was being interviewed. And he talked about how his dad can't watch the games because he'll die. He'll have a heart attack because he's too nervous. And then you have Billy Beane, in Moneyball, and how he couldn't watch the games. And, of course, our own Jerry West, he could barely watch. So now, I don't know why I don't think of Billy Beane and Jerry West. You would think I would think of, but for some reason, I don't know why. Maybe it's because the first time I heard it. But Vinny Testaverde's dad didn't watch the games because he would die. He said, my dad will have a heart attack and die. So I always remember that. That's how I felt. I had not felt like this bad ever. I felt like this maybe 90%. Game 3 of the 2009 Western Conference Finals. Obviously, some of the Super Bowls. But Game 7 of the Celtics series. But this was beyond anything I've ever felt. I don't know why. I really don't know why it hurt this bad. I still don't. And I was upset. And it did calm me down not watching. I was watching Game 6 on my Gamecast on ESPN. I was just kind of like watching TV, and I could feel my body just relax, right? Like it wasn't. And by the way, that would have happened too, by the way. The tail hit, was it
What the
Varcher? Remember when Teo popped it up and then Will Smith tagged up and scored in Game 6?
Yeah.
Okay, it was Varja, right? Varjo. Varja, yeah. That would have set me over, by the way, because I'd have been like, "Fuck!" That would have been 3 runs. Like, and then Mookie tags up when Edman goes to center, and I'm like, "Fuck! We're only gonna get 1 run." Like, it was like it was slow. It was still slow. It was killing me. That was what was killing me. Everything was slow. Little darts just poking in your face. I couldn't handle it anymore. But I got to the main parts when it mattered. And I did relax. in the 8th inning of Game 7. A little bit. They were still down, but my body relaxed. I think I had come to, okay, it looks like they're probably not going to make it, but let's see what happens, right?
We both were kind of said, yeah, this is.
It's okay. It happened. It happened. Okay. And then Rojas's home run. I'm sitting there. This is how I looked at the screen.
Us too. Yeah. I was. Yeah.
My cousin Sal, he's like, "Holy shit, he hit it out. I'm like,
yeah, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I couldn't believe it.
And then I'm like, you see the first thing with Roberts, he goes,
yeah,
something came out of his mouth. I didn't know at the time. I thought it was snot. I didn't know what the fuck it was.
It was gum, right?
Just came out of my. It didn't look like he was chewing. Like I didn't know he was chewing at the time. I didn't know what. I didn't know. I've only seen
out.
his head, his mouth. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, and I'm like, at the same time, I'm going, Shohei, can you put this game away now? Right? Of course he doesn't. But then the 9th inning turned into what it turned into.
Beauty, because we didn't need him to. That's the.
Hold on.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
But another thing to remind everybody. Guys, baseball is different. And another thing that I've noticed is so many are trying to nitpick the Shohei Ohtani involvement in things. Folks, do you really think Hoffman would have thrown a hanging slider in a 3-2 pitch if Andy Pages was on deck? You have no idea what that guy does to a team, to an opposing team. No one does. The whole Nestor Cortez thing, I have been screaming this still to this day. Oh, fucking.
The trauma he puts pitchers through.
Well, that one really kind of puzzled me. I thought common sense would kind of, at some point, because I thought Yankee fans were smart. Boone gets a lot of blame. Oh, he fucked up putting Cortez. I'm like, hold on. He got the most dangerous baseball player on the planet out in one pitch. The league rules say he has to see 3 hitters. Why was it all quiet when he got Ohtani out?
Then walk Mookie.
And by the way, I'm going to throw this in there too. By accident or not, it doesn't matter. It's the results. That play, that pop-up on one pitch was a productive out that moved the runners from first to second to third and second because of Ohtani.
Opens up the walk.
Opened up the walk, and then that's what you saw. That, if you follow Ohtani's runs in these playoffs in the last 2 years, you will find that there's a direct line in almost every single win with him. Every single one. Maybe not direct, but indirectly because of the fear. Guys, a baseball player in today's game, in a fucking playoff game, in a high-stress playoff game, reached base 9 times. You have any fucking idea? That's like throwing 9 touchdown passes in the NFL. That doesn't happen. No one. Barry Bonds is the greatest walked player in the history of sports. I still don't think Barry Bonds would have been walked that much in today's game. Maybe, maybe not. But that motherfucker scared the shit out of everyone, even when he wasn't doing anything. But he did. Indirectly or directly, he did shit. So that was what made this thing really special. That's where I think, just like anything else in life, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The beautiful thing about going through this stupid phase, and that's what it is, Jeff, the fact that a grown ass 40 will be 48 years old here in about 10 days, letting a baseball game turn me into a fucking sludge of shit, like what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, come on.
There's nothing. You wanted it that bad, and this is the first year you watched every single game. You were more invested than you've ever been in your whole life, and not just that. I think we've gone through this together the last 2 years. We've talked about this at length. You don't always have someone you can talk baseball with, so I think you've probably talked more baseball publicly and privately in the last 2 years while the Dodgers were winning. And that's why I said I felt like those Laker championships, I will never water down any of them because they were all so special to me. But I don't think I have ever wanted a championship more than I wanted it this year. And I had said that in 24. I didn't know I was going to have the back-to-back years of what me and my family were going to be going through, and how much I needed the Dodgers as my escape, as my distraction, as my just way out. And God willing, I don't need them again in 2026 other than just a fan perspective. But that is why you've heard me say this numerous times, and I will consistently say this. It's why I will always give them the benefit of the doubt. It is why they have earned my eternal trust and respect, is because even when I was down and out and pretty much gave up, they got it done. And sports is, I'm a long-term thinker, but there is no long-term in Game 7. There is no long-term in these situations. So I can be in the very much now with the best of them. I'm a big picture guy overall. But I've also coached basketball, baseball at pretty decent levels. I've also been in situations where I had to react in the now, both in coaching and in business. And the decisions I make in the now sometimes are just as important for the later as for the now, and sometimes less important now and better for the later. But when we're going through it and you're in it, you see it differently while you're in it than you do when you look back on it. And I think while you were in it, you've never been in a situation where the Dodgers were on the verge of going back-to-back in our lives. And we've never been in a situation where we probably wanted it this bad and was this committed, this dedicated, this locked in, every pitch, every story, every pregame, every postgame, everything. This is probably the most locked in, glued in, laser focused baseball season you have ever had. And with that, it is a long process. It's the length of a pregnancy. I talk about that all the time. It's the length of a pregnancy when your team is good, because from spring training till November 1st, 2nd, whenever it ends, this is a very long stretch. And when you get all the way up to the end of it, this is about to end, and it's going to end either terribly or incredibly, and we're going to know within the next few minutes. And those few minutes feel like hours. And a game feels like a year. Game 6 felt like a year. The ninth inning of Game 6 felt like a month. And that in and of itself is why baseball has lapped the NBA. And that is why baseball, when people care about it and people are locked in on it, and they are doing some things trying to change it. They've sped up the game. They've done some things. We'll see what ABS looks like this year. Every change that they do is designed to get more fans engaged. Now, maybe they get it wrong, but I feel like almost everything the NBA does is getting it wrong. Where I feel like everything MLB is trying to do the fans are getting more involved. And like I said, we probably had the best home run derby and best all-star game and the best World Series. I don't know if there's ever been that trifecta. The best home run derby, the best all-star game, and the best World Series. What other season had those three?
It's been a hell of a run for both years because Teo's wasn't obvious. This was obviously better than 2024 in terms of the home run derby. This is the way how it played out. Fan interaction. What does Friedman always say? What does Mark Walter always say? What does Stan Kasten always say? Even Gomes says it. Brandon Gomes. I always have to remember to tell people that. Everything they say. This is a billionaire, by the way, folks. Everyone who hates billionaires, right? He doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to give a shit. These guys are dropping $100, $200, $300 million in renovation. They're going to be bringing the Habit now to Dodger Stadium, which, by the way, is my favorite hamburger in terms of commercial hamburgers, right? Like, oh, they even got the right fucking hamburger there now. It's two different parties that have shaken hands and said thank you. Stan, Mark, Andrew, Brandon, Magic, the whole lineup, Dave Roberts, thank you for doing what we're doing. We're coming to the games, and we're going to make sure we break 4 million for the first time. How about that? Oh, by the way, the Dodgers have led in attendance for as long as they've been winning these, as long as they've been going to the to the playoffs, right? It's been a while.
Don't let the distraction of, oh, would you get there in the third and leave in the seventh? When other teams' fan bases, when the only criticism they can do is about what time we get to and leave games, that's because they don't want to talk about their own teams on the field.
Well, let's be straight here. I have been to a few games here recently. I'm not seeing that as much as maybe it used to be. And also you have to understand that people have lives, folks, and they don't all live nearby. Most do, though. Okay?
And it's tough to get out of that thing.
It's tough to get out. You have to factor in that when they leave early, they have to get home so they can go to work. Oh, by the way, folks, and I'm not here to apologize for anything. LA, I think LA has two types of things for me. One is the leadership in LA is complete and utter garbage, but the people who are in LA are, and I know this because a lot of them work with me. People identified with Kobe. I talked about this on LFB. People loved Kobe Bryant because most of the people in LA, the facade of Hollywood takes up a lot. It's like for Italians, right? Italians are judged by the 5,000 mob guys versus the probably 5 to 10 million Italians that live their life much, let's say, not as erratic, right? They're judged by those 5,000. Well, it's the same thing in LA. LA is judged by the plastic, facelifted, fake pieces of shit in Hollywood. The other 99%, folks, are actually people that do give a shit, that work for a living. So all of you who are criticizing them leaving at 7 in the seventh inning, they're trying to fucking get home so they can go to bed, so they can go to work.
And get their kids home.
That, and a lot of those guys work with me. They don't have the luxury of being me. They need their 8 hours because they're actually doing manual labor a lot of times. I'm not doing manual labor. So there's a difference. Depends. So anyways, there is a reciprocation that isn't talked about enough. This is part of the and again, it doesn't matter if it's registering or not. It's out now. Understand what you're seeing, understand it. If you're going to come with loser talk, it's going to be very, very good. It's going to be fun for me to call you a loser in your face. You're a loser because you're finding excuses. And a lot of these people are my friends, by the way, guys I've known for 30 years plus.
Some of the best people to call losers are your friends.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. And the hilarious irony in this, and unfortunately, he was a young kid at the time, but again, it still matters, right? So, Jeff, check this out. He's like my little brother, even though he's been almost 40 now. But he's my best friend's little brother, and he was like my little brother growing up. So right away he pulls that's because they're buying everything. I'm like, bitch, who's your favorite team? 49ers. I go, do you know what they used to call the contracts before the salary cap in 1993 in San Francisco, bitch? They used to call it the DeParlo tax. He was signing everybody. You got your 88, 89, and really your 94 Super Bowls because he was buying everything, bitch. You wouldn't have 3 Super Bowls without that kind of, and I'm not wronging DeBarlo. He is my favorite owner in all of football ever was Edward DeBarlo because him and Jerry Rice were just like, I connected with those guys. Even though I hated the team, I'm like, if I was going to be an owner, I'd be DeBarlo. Every single guys that came from Washington, like Charles Mann to come play for the Niners, didn't matter who it was. Norton, all those guys coming from Dallas to San Francisco, they all used to say the same thing. And at that time, the NFL wasn't what it is now. You had a lot of broke-ass owners. They used to say the same thing. World-class, first-class organization. Gee, where do you hear that now, Jeff?
Dodgers.
So you're going to come here with your bullshit, your hypocrisy, really? Read your history, baby, because I know your history. I know more about your team than you know about your team. So you're going to look stupid if you're going to come with an argument. The Dodgers, with the Oklahoma City Thunder, with the Boston Celtics, God help me, those are the 3 right now. Those are the 3. I don't follow hockey enough to know. I'm sure Carolina's probably in the same boat and all that. And again, I'm just saying those 3 organizations handle business. And they handle business really, really well. And that should be championed. Yeah. That should be championed. And criticizing Shohei and calling them the deferreds, another ignorant comment, by the way. I'm like, you know who offered the deferment? That wasn't a Dodger offer. That was Shohei.
Oh, Shohei's camp.
Don't you motherfuckers always yap about, these guys don't give a fuck about winning or anything like that? Mm-hmm. He deferred 600. He wanted to defer all of it. Mm-hmm. And they said, you got to make something. He deferred $680 million so that he can win. That's why this is going on.
And he booted teams out of the running who didn't follow that blueprint.
So we get to sit here, and that probably played a part in my angst, right? But right now, I feel pretty good. Right now, you're probably going to see a completely different me this run. I don't. My energy to a no-hitter was more of the novelty of it. I wanted Yamamoto to have a no-hitter, right? But yeah. I also thought, he can get another out. And by the way, if they had won that game, I don't think it would have bothered me as much. It's the fact that they lost it was really what pissed me off. Yeah. But my view on what's next is they have shown that they can. I had never seen a Dodger team do what the Lakers used to do. The Lakers were the ones that were winning 56 games and then whooping your ass in the playoffs. Dodgers never did this. Dodgers didn't go into the playoffs being one of the shittiest road teams and all of a sudden start fucking wrecking shop. Never. They lost 1 road game in 4 series. How the fuck did this happen? How? They turned the switch? Like what? Sweeping the Brewers wasn't as surprising as that. And to win the last 3 games on the road in fucking Siberia of baseball on top of all that? It's just
shellacked in game 1.
I mean, and maybe they were up 2-0, and maybe that layoff was kind of off too a little bit. I don't know, but they sure didn't come. They sure didn't do that. They sure didn't have a problem the next 3 games on the road. I don't know what the hell happened in game 4 and 5. Those were weird games. It felt like Detroit in 04. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. This isn't making sense. Like, they can't do anything. But, I mean, again, because you're in it, but when you go back, the Dodger offense had been struggling for months. And if the starting pitchers didn't go out there for 6 innings of dominance or quality start to slightly better than quality start effort, then they were in trouble. And when Snell gave up those back-to-back home runs, and Snell didn't have a horrible start in game 1, but I had started picking up something on Snell in game 2 in Milwaukee, and a lot of people got on me for that, but it was true. He was having trouble with his secondary stuff, his chase pitches, and Toronto, who doesn't chase, and he's already having problems with his chase pitch, his changeup, all that. But when the slider, when he couldn't get that, you remember I was telling you that in the Milwaukee game? I picked up on it more because I was watching it on the app and I was seeing where the ball was landing, and I was like, "Oh, this is like way off the target." And
so it puts relevance in what you said back then now, because look what's being said now.
Right. But
he's not going to probably be ready to start the year. So yeah, you probably that was a problem, and it looks like it's lingering still.
And I told you at the time, because what sets up Blake Snell doesn't throw a lot of strikes, doesn't have to, because when he has that pitch mix and he's hitting his location with all of those, even for a team that doesn't chase, it's hard to lay off because you can't see where they're at. When I saw, this is why I was so defensive of them taking him out in the Milwaukee game, is because I told you this at the time. Remember, before they even took him out, you can vouch for this. Before they even took him out, I'm like, Joe, his slider's done. His slider is done. He can't locate it. And I go, this is going to be a problem. Now, I would have been okay with them sending him out there, but having people ready. But I knew his slider was done. I'm a pitcher guy, right? And I look at a lot of things that a lot of people don't look at when it comes to pitching. And again, you can vouch it, because I said this before I talked about it after the game. I said it in the moment. This wasn't me reacting. I said it when it happened. I was like, Joe, he's lost his slider. It's done. Like, it is done. It's not he's struggling with his slider. No, it is gone. In a game in which he was dominating, he just lost a very important pitch. And that's when I knew. And if I knew that, you know damn well the Dodgers knew that, and you knew Milwaukee knew that. And I was like, so he never really got it back. And he had a good start in game 1. He had a good stretch in game 7. But game 2, what was it, 5? Was it game 5? Game 2, game 5, he looked nothing like him in Philly and him in Milwaukee. He looked nothing like that. And it's because he lost his secondary stuff. He couldn't get it. And that happens, though, whether you're injured or not. It doesn't have to be an injury. These things happen. It's like a batter at the plate, just seeing the ball differently. You can be on top of the world, and all of a sudden you can't hit. It's the same thing with a pitcher. And what happens is, this is why with the Yamo or any of those guys, when you start losing, I also noticed he lost velocity. Remember, I told you that too. He lost about 2 miles per hour. So you're losing location, you're losing velocity, and he's got a guy with known shoulder problems. You don't want him throwing across his body, because then he's tearing something if it goes wrong. So immediately I'm like, get him out, right? And I'm not even on the field, right? So it's like, you're right. This is why he's a notorious second half guy, because he takes it easy on himself early on, and he'll be on the IL, he'll do this, and then he'll come in and he'll do his thing. And it's going to happen again this year, right? So it's these little things when it comes to pitchers. This is why I say people all the time, like, I really want to see what Roki looks like. I really want to see what Roki looks like in spring training, what his mechanics look like, what his command location looks like, what that third pitch looks like. What do these things look like? Because I'm not judging a guy's entire season success on a spring training appearance, but being able to see what he's worked on matters. Being able to see what he prioritized matters. Being to see what he locked himself in on matters. And that's what I'm looking forward to see, because if Roki comes in with that third pitch, and if he comes in and his velocity is still there and he's in the strike zone and he's able to command his pitches, then this guy I still 100% believe that he has a chance to be a very, very nasty pitcher in the major leagues. And people forget how young he is. People forget that he came over way before most guys from Japan come over here. People forget that he chose a pressure cooker to come to as a rookie. And it's going to take some time for Roki to really get going. I think by the time that kid's 25, man, I think it's going to be.
First and foremost, I want to make an announcement on Mr. Snell. He mustered enough in the eighth inning and the ninth, striking out Springer, striking out Schneider, and getting revenge on him. And then, while he almost gave everybody a heart attack in the bottom of the ninth, he did get out Vladdy and get him to pop up.
Yep.
Everyone
I thought that was gone.
everyone thought that was gone. Even Snell, the way he nonchalantly turned around, thinking, "Oh shit, I just fucking lost us the World Series."
Yeah.
Roki Sasaki would have been the MVP of the NLDS if they had one. He absolutely saved the Dodgers' ass in that series. Teo could have shared it with him too. Teo had some amazing games in that series. I don't know what it is with Teo in the division series, but he seems to love to play that particular 5-game run, and that's part of the. And I'm mentioning Roki and Teo for a reason, because it was almost pretty immediate that both those guys were in trade rumors in the offseason. And I had to quickly answer some questions on that, saying you don't trade clutch players ever. Roki has been in the majors for less than a year, and he went in a 5-game series and saved the Dodgers. Literally saved them. Teo, the Phillies were rolling, baby. They were rolling just like the Toronto Blue Jays were in Game 7. 3-0. Then all of a sudden they eat away at it little by little. Then all of a sudden he gets a hold of one. And I think that was the one play during this run where I screamed.
Made you lose it.
Everything else was always, okay, let me let's just finish the game. Let's just finish. Like I couldn't ever be in the moment for fucking a minute in this
they didn't let
thing,
us.
right? Not even the whole. Maybe it's because I'm used to Shohei being amazing, but I enjoyed Game 4. Don't get me wrong, of the closing game in the NLCS, but that was the one play where I screamed was when Teo hit that, because I was like,
that's the one that got you.
You just fucked an entire city with that shot. And that was, yeah. And even though there was some nerves at the end of that game, I never felt that they were going to lose it after that. That was the only time I was confident way before the game was over. I said, oh, Teo just took their fucking heart out.
Because I remember, like, I was talking to, before I came to see it happen, I got a text from Chris, and he was like, Teo! And I was like, oh, shit, okay, Teo did something. So, because, again, I was at the hospital. I had no TV around me. I was talking to, you was giving me play-by-play. I was watching on the app, and then that, and I was just like, man, and you're right. He always paid what he owed. He paid his debt. If he got you in trouble, he would get you out of trouble. He's that guy. They were like, okay, damn it. All right, let me go redeem myself. Let me go fix what I just did. And you're right. You hit it on the head about the guy being the guy in the locker room that everyone loves, right? Everyone loves Teo. And when you got that, when your teammates believe in you and lift you up and big you up, because you know why, Joe? They know he was hurt. They know he was hurt. And they know he was out there fighting through it. He didn't say, hey, I'm done. I can't go. He was out there trying to do it. And your teammates respect that when you go to war, even though you're hurt. They respect it. They respect when you show up. They respect when you play it out. Freddie out there on that ankle, man, showing up. Mookie with everything that he went through, showing up. Like, this matters.
Edmund showing up with his ankle dangling, right? I mean, when you hear tendon surgery, guys, trust me when I say this. I have basketball ankles, okay? I've rolled my ankles I'm not exaggerating, at least 100 times in my life.
Yeah,
I've rolled my ankle walking over a curb. I had to reteach myself how to walk because I got so tired of fucking rolling my ankle. So what Edmund did, I didn't appreciate at the time. That was probably the biggest one. The shit that I saw him do, the hits, the pop-ups, those saves and those throws. Guys, and I mentioned that because I get really, really sad about how Dodger fans speak about some of these guys. Oh, Edmund's contract is really shitty. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like,
oh, Edmund's always hurt. Edmund's always hurt. I go, did you fucking watch the playoffs the last 2 years? What the fuck are you talking about? Did you not see how he was playing at the beginning? He was leading the league for a month in home runs.
Yep. And for a guy who's not known for his power.
So you got to defend. They've done it. They've proved it. They've proved it, and now I remember vividly. I remember this like it was yesterday when the Lakers beat the Celtics in Game 7. Even though I know Kobe was foaming at the mouth to get 6 to match MJ, a lot of me said this was it. Yeah. I didn't see it at the time, but when I go back and remember the feeling, there was a satisfaction after that. This guy just beat the Celtics. The Lakers just beat the Celtics. They came back from 3-2, which had never happened.
Artest had the greatest post-game press conference
ever. Artest had the greatest press conference ever. Kobe had his worst shooting night, but still led in points, had 15 rebounds. Gasol had a great game. It was an epic old school basketball game that I still go back and watch every now and then just because I love Pau Gasol so much at that time too. Pau Gasol, I've only had 2 favorite players in my life. It was Magic and it was Mike Piazza. I've never had a favorite player since Mike Piazza. I've admired, I've supported all that, but those were like my guys. Like when I was a kid, it was Magic and it was Piazza. I was young, right? But man, I think Pau Gasol was close to the third one. When he came February 1st, 2008, I was I know that Kareem was better. I know Wilt was better in these trades, but the immediate impact and the results and the player and just the legacy saving ending of this was, to me, it was the most and maybe because I lived through this. I didn't live through the Kareem or the I can't go with that because I didn't live I can't really know how great Kareem was. I never saw him play in his prime. So for me, the Pau Gasol trade made me an avid Laker fan to an absolute like godly Laker fan. Because of him. That first game in New Jersey, that was the game Kobe fucked up his shooting finger. I have to remind people of that. Oh, Kobe's not efficient enough. He can't. He shoots 44.9%. I go, the motherfucker played 5 years with a broken index finger and a shooting hand. What did you want him to do? Pay attention to the details. He was playing that last run. That last run, he was barely playing. Like 2011, it was 100% where he was playing bone to bone on his knee. Kobe was fucked up in 2011. So we go back to the flipping of the popularity of baseball versus basketball. Why is it flipped? Why has it flipped? It's flipped because, and I'm going to say this because it's important for everyone to understand this. When you see guys like Freddie Freeman on a busted ankle play and play well, when you see guys like Teo trying to drag a leg for 6 fucking months, when you see Edmund trying to drag his ankle, when you see Mookie Betts taking one for the team for 9 months, playing a position that is arguably the hardest position in baseball this late in his career and almost winning a Gold Glove. Seeing Kershaw and Bueller after the 24 World Series saying, what would 22 do? When I hear, look, I got goosebumps right now. Just Bueller is a beast, guys. He doesn't need to look up to anyone. He's a beast. The fact that this was a moment talking to his boy Mookie on his podcast, talking about what was your feeling in the most important moment of your entire career. You're going to be legend for this forever. The way you ended it, the way you exhumed yourself. The first thing he's saying is, what would 22 do? So if you don't think that guy, Mr. Number 22, made an impact beyond what you can even fathom, your interpretation skills are not there. Clayton Kershaw, the reason why he played 18 years in LA and why he was who he was because of who he was. And everyone, the meanest, the nicest, the transient player, the career dodger, whatever, doesn't matter what it was, everyone idolized and loved that man. And look how it ended. And that's the part where people start to come back and say, this is who we want to support. This is who is giving back to everything and everyone. You have, I went over the numbers here, Jeff. Dude, this team could have, honestly, 10 jerseys retired in the next decade.
Yeah.
They have 12 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, yeah, if this goes as one of the greatest dynasties, everything, yeah, those numbers.
And I'm going to get to this, and then I'm going to let you finish this off here. So finish off what you need to say, because I was going to go 3 hours because I seem to be hitting the 3 hour mark here.
Oh yeah, lately. Yeah. I didn't even realize what time it was.
Yeah, I want you guys to remember this. If the Dodgers win and three-peat, I want you to put this in perspective. I'm not counting 2020 right now. I'm just going to go with the three-peat. I'll get to the 4 out of 7 in a minute, but I want to go with the three-peat. Let's say they win the division and they don't play in the wild card. That means they're going to have 3 series. So they got to win 11 games. Okay? This team will have three-peated, winning 35 games to win three championships. If you factor in 2020, it's 48 wins. So 48 wins to win 4 championships out of 7 years. Put that in perspective. Before 1969, there wasn't a championship series. You won your division, you won the pennant, and then you went to the World Series. So the longest Yankees won 5 in a row. That's the longest it's ever been in baseball. They needed 20 games to win 5 World Series in a row. So when we talk about one of the greatest dynasties, honestly, who knows what this team's going to be at the end of the Ohtani era. But as of right now, if they three-peat, honestly, I don't think you can really compare anyone before 1969 to the Yankees of the late 90s and the Dodgers of right now. Maybe you can put the Oakland A's of the 70s in there, and maybe slightly the back-to-back red machine in 75 and 76. That's it. So you are witnessing, and I've talked about this too, is competition matters, folks. When we talk about competition, so I had mentioned the 80s and Bird. Why doesn't Bird get enough credit? You know what Bird had to go through to get to LA? If you look at the Eastern Conference in the 80s, it was just an absolute buzzsaw.
That Philly team does not get enough credit for the 80s.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
No, they don't. And to so that you understand the credit, understand how great Magic and Bird were. Magic beat Dr. J twice. He beat Larry Bird twice. He beat Isaiah once. Should have beaten him twice if he hadn't gotten hurt. Him and Byron Scott. We'll never know. And I had been asked a question in the last show out of the most recent losses. And I kind of just stayed in the 80s and beyond. So the losses in 83, 84, 89, 91, 04, and 08. Which one would you take out of those losses? And I couldn't help but say, I wish they could have won in 84. I wish they would have won in 89. But how do you pass up the ability of maybe beating Jordan, right? Because now you look at Magic's career, he beats Dr. J, Larry Bird, Isaiah, and Jordan. I think that might set a little bit better in the end, right? And it takes away from the invincibility of Michael Jordan. This is something that I have been very, very deliberate on. The reason why Michael is number one, besides the fact that he was probably the best basketball player anyways, it's the accomplishments. He never failed on the biggest stage. And he won more on the biggest stage on top of that. That plays a huge part in it. And I talked about Shaq and Kobe and where they could have been at that table had they finished their business. If Kobe wins in 04 and 08, he's sitting next to Jordan. Accomplishments do factor into this, especially at the biggest stage. Even Phil Jackson talked about it. He said, when you lose that game, it's the worst way to lose. Can't, even fair or not. And I even try to throw a bone on it. I said, there was a lot of luck involved too. Greatness, no doubt. Greatest player, no doubt. But game 6 of the 1998 finals was the only game I remember. And I remember those series very well anyways. It's something that's true. Where there was an injured player on the Bulls during those runs. There wasn't such luck with the Lakers in 04, 08. You had Ariza out. You had Bynum out in 08. You had Karl Malone dragging a leg. You had Rick Fox that couldn't move. Fisher was on one leg. 84, 83, I should say. James Worthy was out a week before playoffs started. 91, Worthy and Scott were out. 89, Magic busted a hamstring. Byron Scott busted a hamstring. Like a lot of it had, sometimes it's good to be lucky. But in the end, it doesn't matter. Fair or not. It came out the way it came out. This is how it is.
Yep. We
still talk about the Philly Patriots Super Bowl. What if I don't know we still don't know what happened, but what if Belichick doesn't bench Butler? Do they win that game? We'll never know. But I'm telling you right now, the results matter. Kobe went
T.O. for the other one. My fault.
No. The results matter. And if Kobe wins in 04, and again, I say this because it does matter because they were favored in both series. They were supposed to win those series. If Kobe is 7-0 in the finals, it opens up a whole different statistic in his book. It's not just the titles. It's what happens because of those wins. 4 out of 5, 2 3-peats, passes the Celtics. 7 in 11 years, 2 different dynasties. I don't consider the second version of the Lakers a dynasty.
No,
they needed to win 3.
They did 3, and if he won a 3-peat with Shaq and without Shaq, then it destroys the narrative of Shaq cancels him out, right? So yeah, it's a total different. And
Shaq too. Shaq should have won in 95, and he should have won in 04. To me, I'm sorry, I'm not going to ever buy it. I don't care how many injuries there were. You had prime Shaq and prime Kobe in 04 playing against that Pistons team. You should have won. Should have figured it out. You guys are too great to lose that series. You win that series, Shaq, and you beat Houston in 95, you have an argument now of being the best big man of all time. Think about it for a second. You'd be 6-0 in the finals with 3 different teams, and you'd have 5 NBA Finals MVPs, very likely.
Yep.
If 04 could have been one or the other, I don't know. But at that time I was rolling with Shaq more on that one. So go ahead, put a button on your night here, Jeff, and then I'll put a button on this at the end, and then we'll call it a night.
Yeah, this flew by. I didn't realize what time it was. This was fun. But yeah, no, I'm excited, man. We are, little less than 2 days away from spring training baseball. From the Dodgers perspective, we got teams playing tomorrow: the Yankees, the Padres. We got baseball tomorrow, man. So I'm excited about that. I don't have a lot to offer up about the NBA. Haven't been locked in, haven't been watching it. I got my start on, the internet from a sports perspective covering the NBA. So I enjoyed that time. I loved it, but I just don't enjoy talking basketball right now. So I'm pretty much strictly locked in on baseball. And with the season starting up again, I find it highly doubtful that I will venture back to basketball this season. But baseball, I'm extremely excited. Excited to get the lives going again, the channel going again, and do more than just a short form content. And I am looking forward to spring training in the regular season and going for this three-peat and going to Dodger games again and covering it. And I got some things that I'm working on trying to enhance the coverage this year. And hopefully, again, with me, it's really hard for me because of scheduling, but I'm hopeful that this season I have some windows and some time to do some things that I wasn't able to do the last 2 years. So, baseball, God willing, I'll be able to do that. So I'm excited, and been fun. And the Canada.
Drip, if you need some cash, let me know. I'll definitely get one of those. I do want to change the color though.
We do. There's multiple colors. On that one.
I don't know what color I want yet, but I'll let you know.
So there's black, there's the gray, there's the Toronto blue, there's red, there's the Dodger blue. There's just multiple colors on that one. So, yeah. Other than that, I gotta take Lucky out real quick, and then chill for a little bit. So appreciate you guys. Thanks, Joe, for having me as usual. And look forward to baseball's here, man. I'm excited.
Well, again, you just got one of the reasons why baseball has flipped in popularity. It's more engaging. There's more excitement in the anticipation of what's coming, and that's greatness. Mm-hmm. When greatness is in front of you, possible greatness. And again, a three-peat is in baseball. It's beyond.
Yeah.
There's never been a National League team that's ever three-peated. We're talking about 140 plus years, guys, of National League baseball.
Yeah, I can't wait. So
there's never been. Let me repeat that. There's never been a National League team in the history of baseball that's been around for 140 plus years that's three-peated. So when we talk about greatness is coming, possibly in LA. And if they three-peat, there's going to be a huge following from this, bad or good, and it's going to actually add more pain for the owners to lock them out too long. Now, I want them. Here's how I want this to play out. Just because I'm a dick, I want them to have a lockout long enough to where they have another 60-game season. The Dodgers will be fresh off the championship, feeling good. They play 60 games. They win 70% of it like they did in 2020, and then they 4-peat. And I'm going to just sit there and just listen to the Mickey Mouse comments again.
Yep. They never played in Orlando. But yeah, right.
I am looking forward to that, and I put that in your wallet. Again, I if you wanted me to really be a dick and really wanted, go ahead and shut down almost 2/3 of the season. Let them have another 60-game season. Let the Dodgers win it again. Let them 4-peat that way. Then you can go ahead and DX.
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny.
DX it for you all.
All right, I'm gonna get up out of here. I appreciate you guys.
Jeff, again, we'll do this again next time. Have a good night. We'll talk shop again next time.
All right, man. Talk to you guys.
Thanks,
later.
brother. Thank you.
All right.
So, let me get to some of your guys' comments. Let's see here. Sorry, Joe. Sun is back. Joe, will the Clippers make the playoffs? Let me look at something here real quick. Let's see here. Looking at the standings right now, I would say it's likely they will. They're going to be in the play-in. The Memphis Grizzlies are 4 losses behind Portland as the 10th seed, and right now the Clippers are a game ahead of Portland. So I'm going to say yes, even though I don't consider the play-in a playoff yet, but that's just me. Yes, they're going to make it because I don't see Memphis coming up anytime soon. Am I losing my focus here? Yeah, so I'm gonna say they have enough talent to make it through. Currently, with what's going on in the West, a lot of these teams are probably going to start tanking. Guys like Memphis, guys like Dallas are already kind of there. Utah, obviously, and then Golden State might drop if Steph Curry's knee doesn't cooperate, which it looks like it's not. So I would say the Clippers are going to get the 8th seed when it's all said and done. And then they'll probably be the 8th seed going into the playoffs once they win their little play-in. That's my prediction there. Roll Tide. Oof. I'm going to be curious to see what Alabama does next year if DeBoer bows out again the way he did. Dodgers baseball starting this weekend. Dodgers versus Angels. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I mean, I sort of don't want to see the Dodgers yet because I want them to be healthy for April. It is cool that they're not going to have to go to Korea or Japan this time, play a regular season game or two, then wait 2 weeks and then go play. I like that they're just going to start in April, right? Or end of March, sorry. Some of the guys are going to be in the WBC, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of rigorous play there, so that's good. But I am happy that they don't have to. The majority, the entire team have to go too far this time, so that's good. Is it going to stamp Ohtani as the GOAT if he three-peats? I think the stamp is there already, but I still think it's too early, but that's me. What my focus will be on with Ohtani this year is, can he have the greatest year a player has ever had? I think that's it. Imagine him winning, because I don't see anybody winning the MVP for the next 2-3 years. If he doesn't get hurt, if he plays 155 to 162 games, does Ohtani hit 50 and win 15 games and throw a 2.5 ERA? Is that going to be enough, especially with guys like Paul Skeens and Yamamoto pitching, right? Skeens is likely going to be in the twos, right? I don't know if he's going to win a lot of games. Maybe the Pirates team is a little bit better than last year. I don't know. But Skeens seems to be the guy right now. He's the Ohtani of pitchers right now in the NL. So it's going to have to come down to does the National League say, holy shit, this guy just hit 50 home runs, won 15 games, and has a 2.5 ERA. We got to give this guy the Cy Young with all that extra work, right? I don't know. If Skeens has, let's say, 10 wins out of, let's say he's 10-5. I don't trust the Pirates, even if they're better this year. If he goes 10-5 and has a 1.98 ERA, 200 strikeouts, 220, whatever, pitches 190 innings, right? Do they give it to him again? Or do they give it to Yamamoto? I'm sorry. Do they give it to Shohei winning 15 games and having a 2.5 ERA? while hitting 50 home runs? Does the Cy Young vote factor in the fact that he also hits and still hits while he's pitching that well? I think this is the 1 year he can go all out. After this, I think it'd be time to, especially if he accomplishes a run at the Cy Young. Greatest year. The greatest year. Let's go above and beyond on this. Let's go above and beyond. The hell with it. Let's do it. What if he wins MVP, which is likely, and he doesn't really necessarily have to hit 50 home runs. He could hit 45, drive in 115 too. 130 runs, like still do really good at the plate, right? Let's say 45 home runs, 115 RBI, bats 310, 315, right? Gets 15 wins and a 2.5 ERA. Let's say he wins the MVP, which likely would be it, and then he wins the Cy Young. Wow. Hell of a year, right? He's going to probably get Silver Slugger. But then he goes into the playoffs. Let's say he wins World Series MVP with a championship. I think that's when it probably is stamped without doubt. Without a doubt. That would be the stamp. That would be the stamp where he could retire at the end of the year and he'd be the greatest that ever played. He wouldn't even need to play another inning. And I think this year might be the only year I feel I would want him to go all out because he's really healthy this year. The team with you guys have no idea if you're not in the know. You have no idea, absolutely no idea how much Kyle Tucker is going to help. I have a really good feeling he's going to be the 2 guy. He's going to bat second, and they're going to put Freddie in the cleanup. Having Shohei with Kyle behind him is going to be a problem, and especially if the Dodgers have Edman coming back after the beginning of the year, healthy, hitting at the 9, and in between that, having an improved Hae-Sung Kim, and a Rojas at the 9, opening things up for Ohtani, it's going to be a problem for the opposition, and it's not going to be as taxing. I think you're going to see a lot of walks too, which is going to help his batting average. You're going to see probably more walks this year for Ohtani, which means he's not going to be taxed as much, I think. Because as great as Kyle Tucker is, Mookie Betts was hurting last year, guys. He was hurting. Whether it was physical, mental, there was a lot of shit going on with Mookie last year. His stepfather passed away. He had that sickness, in Japan when he came back, lost 30 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever it was. They could take a little bit of a chance with Ohtani, and he got a lot of strikeouts like he did the year before and all that, but you can't do that now. So are they going to be willing? Are they going to be willing to I don't know. Kevin Kyle behind Ohtani and a really good setup guy at the 9, man, I don't know what the hell teams are going to do. They're going to have to eat it. And this time, Kyle Tucker's going to make them pay. So now that becomes... I mean, you can look at it both ways too, right? But if Kyle Tucker... who splits are even. It doesn't even matter, right? Like I was thinking left, right, left, right, left, right. I was thinking, well, let's put Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, Will, Tucker. I was thinking put Tucker at 5. Just Because I thought that would be a nice way to get Freeman to get some pitches, right? Or Will Smith. But anyways, it doesn't matter with Tucker. His splits are even. So if you're throwing a left-handed pitcher at Ohtani in that particular situation, you're not really worried about Tucker coming up lane because he hits lefties just as good as he hits righties. So now you got a completely different dynamic. We're going to see how that plays out. And if Kyle Tucker is on, it is going to be devastating for the opposition. There's no doubt that this team's going to win 100 games at that point. And if Betts is just a little bit better than he was last year, and that's going to be huge. If Freeman stays sort of the same, if Will Smith stays sort of the same, we're going to look for Dalton Rushing to supplant at least probably 40 to 50 games to keep Will Smith fresh for the playoff run. Yeah. And 10 blown saves by Tanner Scott. I don't see Edwin Diaz blowing 10 games. I think they won. God, I just had this stat a few months ago. I totally forgot. I think they won half of those anyways. So it was really 5 games that cost them those blown saves. But Edwin Diaz only blew 1 save last year. So if you had Edwin Diaz in for Tanner Scott last year, the Dodgers would have likely won at least 4 or 5 more games, right? You can never really gauge those things. You don't know how things would have played out anyways. The stress of the next game and not using him and all that and creating a loss. Like it does, sometimes things aren't just black and white when you make a decision or not. So I think to answer your question, I know it kind of went long on this. The reality is Ohtani's already the GOAT. But if he ends up winning a Cy Young and an MVP in the same year and a championship, at that point, if it's 99.9% now, it's 100% after that. And no one can deny it. Doesn't matter how good Aaron Judge is. Doesn't matter how good he is. Doesn't matter how good Babe Ruth was. Ohtani will have taken the cake. You're talking about a guy that will have, at that point, 5 MVPs, more than anyone other than Barry Bonds. And he'll have won 4 straight. Probably unanimous, 4 straight unanimous votes. And then he'd have a Cy Young, which is just nuts to think about. And then a three-peat on a National League team that's never in a league that's never had a three-peat. So he's making history in so many ways. He's accomplishing things that's just not possible that you would ever think was possible. And then if he adds in a World Series MVP, now he has won an MVP in every series in those runs. And what else can you say? What else can he do? Does he finally start playing a position to win a Gold Glove? I'm sure he could do that. I saw footage of him in right field gunning a guy on third, out on third, on a single. So Ohtani's the greatest baseball player I've ever seen. And Barry Bonds is there too. But Barry Bonds never threw 100 with movement. And he's already won 15 games in a season pitching and hitting, guys, in Anaheim. He's already done that. So with this team, with this amount of talent, why wouldn't he? So look at it from this perspective. Let's say he pitches 4 times per month, right? So April, May, June, July, August, September. That's 6 months. If he pitches 24 times and he wins 15 of those, that leaves 9 games that are going to be losses or no decisions. So let's just say there's 5 no decisions and 4 losses. So he goes 15-4. I think he would need that because Skeens is going to be pretty damn good. He would have to win a lot, I think, for that to really pop. 15 wins, only starting 24 games. Because I don't think he's going to get more than 24. Maybe he might get like 20. one of those months he'll get 5 in, maybe. Sort of, maybe. I don't know. But if he pitches 24, if he has 24 starts and he wins 15 games and has a 2.5 ERA and he hits and he's MVP like on offense, that has to be considered. That has to be something that you have to consider. But Skeens will put a monkey wrench in that for right now. So that's just kind of where it is. Well, Jay, Lon Rosen he's got a history in LA, baby. I mean, he was there at the beginning. If you watch the Winning Time, he was there with I think it was the actors of Rambis's wife, Linda, and obviously Jeannie. He ended up being Magic's agent later. So there's one of my favorite scenes, if not the favorite scene on that show, is actually the first scene in the show, which is Magic's coming out of the doctor's office, going into the car. The guy that's guiding him out to get to the car and then starts crying in the car. That's Lon Rosen. That's the Lon Rosen character. It's a very powerful scene. I would go on YouTube and put in opening scene of Winning Time. It's amazingly acted, and I got to give props to the guy who played Magic Johnson. He was phenomenal, and he looked like him too. It's really, really scary how amazing the casting was on that show, and it just sucks that they weren't able to go all the way with it. I wish I had 20, 30, 40 million dollars. I would have totally bankrolled it. But anyways, that's Lon Rosen. Lon Rosen's been there, and Lon Rosen's going to play a leadership role and make sure the operation is as good as he's been doing here in LA with the Dodgers. So for the ones who are scared that Magic's going to come into the fold and start making roster decisions, stop. Just shut up and just let this play out. It's going to be fine. Luka's second half prediction. I think he's going to do exactly what he's been doing. Whether he's going to win the MVP will depend on how Jokic and SGA end up finishing the season. Cade Cunningham has put himself in that category too, but I think injuries is probably what's going to need to happen with Jokic and SGA to clear the area for Luka, if he obviously doesn't have his own injuries where he gets below the 65 game rule to get awards. He's got a chance. If they get the third seed, I think he has a huge chance. We'll have to see. See. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it, brother. Portland will beat the Clippers in the play-in. That could happen too. To me, Ohtani's the third behind Barry Bonds and Babe Ruth. See, I didn't see Babe Ruth play. Saying he's better than saying Bonds is better than him is there's an argument there. I think he was a better hitter, but you have to understand. I'm not trying to make an excuse here, but I feel that if Ohtani wasn't slugging, I could see him winning batting titles. But because today's game is about slug, and you saw that in Game 7, guys. Slug won the World Series for them. He is slugging. He is trying to slug. He is trying to hit 50 home runs, 100 RBIs, and get runs, especially with a guy that's leading off. So understand this, guys. By him leading off, he's getting approximately 80 extra at-bats versus him batting third or fourth. It's a different game than even when Barry Bonds was playing, guys. Barry Bonds didn't lead off. Barry Bonds was at the 3 and 4 spots so that he can drive in runs. Ohtani's not doing that. The reason why Ohtani's leading off is because they want him to be up as many times as possible. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about runs at that point. They want the fear factor. They want that turnover to be fear immediately over. They're not going to fear Edman. They're not going to fear Rojas. They're not going to fear the typical Ozzie Smith, Ricky Henderson type player leading off. They're afraid of Ohtani. And Ohtani played a lot of indirect results in these important games. The fact that he was there, Rojas getting that hanging slider in Game 7 in the ninth inning, does not happen. It does not happen if Ohtani is not on deck. Something to think about. Funny we don't have the same GOAT discussions for baseball like we do for basketball and football. Well, because baseball's not, there's too many variables in baseball. And a lot of the GOATs, most of us didn't see. It's Barry Bonds, it's Ken Griffey, and even the younger crowd right now don't really know anybody. They know Aaron Judge, maybe Albert Pujols, but they know Ohtani. There really hasn't been any GOATs really for a while, up until Ohtani came in 18. As great as Aaron Judge is, no one's calling him the GOAT either. The GOAT is hard for baseball, in my view. I don't. It's just too many variables to it. There have been amazing players that never even were able to even make the playoffs. I mean, look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout was supposed to be the modern day Mickey Mantle, and individually, there's some merit there. But he's only been to the playoffs once. Didn't even win one game because he decided that he preferred to stay in Anaheim instead of saying, "Look, I want to win. Send me back home to Philly and let me see if I can win a championship in Philly." And that's the thing is, if Mike Trout had demanded to go to Philly, or maybe not signed the extension that he had, whatever, and gone to Philly, allowed himself to be a free agent to go where he wanted to go, I have full confidence that he probably would have won a championship in Philadelphia by now. We'll never know though. Baseball is hard to watch, and a few people could have opinion on it. I mean, baseball is hard because even me, like I always joke about how I don't even know what a balk is. I've been watching baseball since I was 10 years old. I still don't know what a balk is. I've watched video after video after video, and I've had people try to explain it to me. It still doesn't make sense to me. A hanging slider, obviously that's easy to know what that is. A cutter, a slurve, four seam, two seam, like it takes a minute. People are slow and their attention spans suck these days. Number one, slow, stupid. A lot of people out there like that. And then on top of that, their attention spans is up their ass. So they're not going to likely pay attention to those things. And if they can't comprehend it, they're not going to want to watch. People don't want to watch something they have to think about. That's why baseball is a great sport. Joe's going to go for another 2 hours at this point. No, I'm going to be done here soon, guys. I'm going to go through the last of your comments here. Joe, you're going to go until midnight? No, I'm going to check out here now. I'm just going to go through the last bits of your comments. Even Freeman was hurt. If they are all healthy, going to be hard to beat. Yeah, and that's always the case in all this is if everybody's healthy. No one was healthy last year. How good would Ohtani be if he took steroids? I think if Ohtani took steroids, I think he hits 70. Yeah, I could see him hit 70 comfortably. And you probably wouldn't have to worry about him pitching. I think his velocity, I think his recovery. And that's the thing with steroids. It's a recovery agent, right? You're able to do more because your body recovers quicker. He'd be a menace. I would almost guarantee he'd win a Cy Young and an MVP at that point because he probably wouldn't lose many games pitching. The recovery would be there. We need to come first in the NL this year. And we will. I have no doubts. Baseball, the only sport that always gives best player MVP award. There's no vote. That's the beautiful thing about baseball, too. And they're voting for the Hall of Fame, too. There's been some weirdness with the voting lately on some of the guys that have gotten in. But then I started realizing the WAR statistic has been taking a lot of precedent in these votings. So if that's the case, then it sort of makes sense. Chad Billingsley won 20 games in the season. Yeah, so did Urias. Urias won 20 games. I think he was second in the Cy Young when he did 2021, I think. NBA MVP has its terms. Definitely get a lot of voter fatigue for that one, which is stupid. Joe, do you think I'll be able to beat Messi on Saturday? Can you give me a score prediction? 2-1, Messi will score on one of those. You will not score on Saturday. That's my prediction on that. You beat Messi. Are you a soccer player? Tell him, Mark. Joe, thoughts on the movie Coach Carter? The hood was after Samuel Jackson because he wanted his players to get a 2.3 GPA and wear a tie from the Goodwill. I don't. After a while, I got tired of the go to the ghetto and change lives movie things. I remember growing up with Lean on Me and Dangerous Minds, and when I look back on those movies, they're very corny. But at the time, when I was a kid, I thought they were good. So as I got older, Coach Carter kind of was at that area of like cheesiness that I didn't really care for too much. Remember Titans is like that too, to some degree, with just better acting. But yeah, I'm not turned on by the tough guy or tough lady going into the adolescent crazy kid high school and trying to make a difference. I don't I lost interest in that in college. Luka has 0% to win the MVP. You're probably right, but if these guys get hurt, there's a chance. Cade is better than Luka. No, he's not. Who can replace Rob if we hire someone from the Dodgers? Well, I don't think they're going to hire somebody from the Dodgers. They're going to hire a basketball guy to run this. And I would say look for them to talk to the best player guys in the league. Guys like Presti, guys like Conley, guys like Brad Stevens. I don't know specifically if that's going to happen in that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if they called Presti and said, "What is it going to take for you to come work with us?" I just don't see how that wouldn't be at least a phone call. Underrated moment with Ohtani is home run out of the park in the playoffs. I think underrated is an interesting word to use for Ohtani. I think underrated is the least word you want to use for Ohtani. I think he's rated at the point of positive 100%. There is no more overrated. There is no more underrated. He is Ohtani. Anyone who says he's lower in certain areas or higher in certain areas is either not watching enough or trying to find a kink in the armor. Ohtani does things and it makes it look so easy that it doesn't show its greatness enough for people, even myself, because you get used to it. But what he's doing right now is not normal. And it won't be normal until the next guy is able to do it. I don't know if there ever will be. At least not in our lifetime. The Ox, what would you tell your kids the meaning of life is? How do you live a meaningful life? You live a meaningful life by protecting and guiding the people around you. That's what I do. I protect. Not everybody has, I think, the force I think that I have, though. I'm forceful in terms of making sure, to the point where it could be an uncomfortable feeling around even the people that are family and friends. But what it does is it keeps parasites away. So the meaning of life is to protect, especially good people, children. The meaning of life is to protect the people who deserve to be protected. When you do that, humanity advances. So my quirks, my craziness is put in an area where there is a benefit. And I have proof of it. It's not something that I've just put in my head. Tani was at bat 611 times in 2025. Pitching also, that's greatness. It really is. Thank you, Ox, for teaching us baseball. Hey, it's never going to end, Chris. It's always going to be there. It's going to get better. Joe, you sound like a kid in a candy shop. Well, I mean, when you're surrounded by winning, it does add a little bit of constant dopamine. Competition is important. I love it. Thank you for answering all my questions. Have a good one. Thanks, son. Again, good luck on Saturday. I hope you score, but I don't think you will. Thanks, Best League, and everyone else that's been on the show here. We've gone 3 hours plus. Once you have a good weekend here, guys. It's going to be fun watching the Dodgers play their first games for spring training, and then the Lakers are going to be playing tomorrow night as well. Enjoy the festivities this weekend in both leagues. Whether we play positive or negative on either one of these, we're still there. We're still watching. And we're going to continue to do that and hope for the best, especially with the Lakers and obviously for the Dodgers. So until next time, I want you to have a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And until next time, see you next time.